Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, and I am joined as per usual with Matt.
Hey, you sound way too chipper.
Sorry, I'll try and... Okay, it's easier when I'm doing the other one. But also here, this particular episode, for some reason or other, I don't know why, but Connor is also here.
Some reason or other. He knows exactly why I'm here.
Well, it just so happens that the three of us also do a DC Comics podcast. We talk about DC Comics every week, all the new books that come out, and we have thoughts and opinions. So it makes sense that Connor would also jump in for a new DC Comics movie, which is what we're going to be talking about today, which is Justice League, which is a very fueled discussion and a very fueled, obviously we're all passionate about DC characters, so we have a vested interest in this.
Look at my room.
Matt makes a point, and on top of that, it's a very interesting getting into this. Before we even get to how we feel about the movie, let's just show the road to this. Right? Obviously, we'll start spoiler free, no spoilers until we warn you later on. Don't worry about that. So the road to this is we all despise Batman v Superman with a passion.
Understatement.
You can go back and watch our review of Batman v Superman. It's 2 hours long, and we were vengeful. We were vengeful spirits out for blood. We hated that film.
For the record, I was vengeful when we got the first trailer, which we had a trailer reaction video too. So I called my dear friend, I don't know if he's your dear friend still, Alden, a Batman fanboy POS, which still drop on him.
Look, we were just trying to have hope back in those early days. It was futile,
Yeah, it was.
but the hope was trying to be had. So we hated that, which is the most directly related to this one, obviously. But then Suicide Squad was terrible as well. Wonder Woman turned out to be pretty good. We were all pleasantly surprised. Yeah. But obviously that was Patty Jenkins. That was away from, Snyder. And then on top of all that, so coming into this year, it's like, okay, we're expecting the worst from Justice League. And then... all of a sudden, now obviously the circumstances around it were unfortunate and a tragedy. Zack Snyder suffered a big family, tragedy earlier this year, and that's like, no making light of that situation in any way. But we then had this situation where Joss Whedon was already writing or rewriting a big chunk of the movie to fix it because Warner Bros. weren't happy with it. And once Zack Snyder decided to leave, he then came on to direct all of these new scenes. That was cats. I think they were fighting in the other room. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so Joss Whedon came on to direct these new scenes, right? And we all hate Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, right?
Yes.
I do not like how his films look. Sucker Punch is one of the worst movie theatre going experiences I've ever had.
Aptly named.
Topped by Batman v Superman, admittedly, because I had more of an interest in that. So he's done it to me twice. And Joss Whedon, on the other hand, I happen to be a big fan of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I got it out of the way early, Connor.
All right. I know, I was expecting on this one. It was a given.
People, that cat that was probably causing trouble is named Firefly. Not after the insect. After the Whedon property.
Actually, no, I can confirm. I have eyes on Firefly. He's actually snug in the bed. He's quite happy. It's still a 2.
I was going to ask which one's Batman and which is Superman.
Well, I'll go and see which one is bleeding, and that will give me the answer. So we have this weird situation where we had a Zack Snyder movie, and because of the reaction to the previous films, because of the test screenings, whatever, they said, no, we want this redone, we want half of this reshot, which inflated the budget to $300 million. More on money later. We'll talk about how the film's doing at the end of the show, I think. But that's where we're going in. So, and we're all fans of Joss Whedon to varying degrees. Me probably the most, but I think we're all fans. We all like his work. So we have this really interesting situation of, okay, what sort of Frankenstein's concoction is this movie going to be? Can it actually be completely redeemed and be good? Can it be like a mix of both? Will it still be kind of a mess overall because there was no saving it? Because typically when someone else comes in to fix a movie, it never really works out that well. It typically ends up feeling poor at the end result.
Yeah, I mean, although lately there's been a lot of directing teams, like Chris Miller and Lord. Right? They're both Chris's, right? No.
Phil
One's a
Lord.
Phil.
One's a Phil.
Phil and
There
Chris.
you go.
That's different. That's co-directing. That is a very different thing.
Yeah. But we've seen a lot of it. So, once Whedon came on, I was kind of like, well, maybe I should have some hope, but I'm not going to give it to him because I've fallen for it. I'm not doing it again.
Well, this is the thing. The big difference here is, like, it doesn't matter who it is. I don't care if it's Alfred Hitchcock. Coming in to patch in scenes to a movie that's already been shot, that wasn't your movie in the first place, is never an easy task. It's never going to be the same as that person directing it and writing it from day one. It's never going to be the same. And I think you have to have that expectation going in, regardless of what side you fall on. I mean, obviously, there's people out there who love Zack Snyder and hate Joss Whedon, and to those people, you know what, you do you, but I don't understand you.
Yes, he's ruining your movie.
Yeah. Whereas, for me, Joss Whedon might be salvaging it, like, as best as can be done.
I saw someone who was unhappy with this because early reviews started coming out, and they'd called my favorite comic book writer and chief creative officer over at DC, Jeff Johns, a hack for destroying Zack Snyder's movie, and they hadn't even seen it yet. So
I saw a lot of things about that where people were complaining about things like, some costumes that they were going, oh, these don't make sense. These are worse than other versions we've seen. Why is it like that? When once you get into the movie, there are perfectly logical explanations.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that there tends to be, a Venn diagram of overreactors and Zack Snyder fans. So I just want to. I'm not saying that they're both identical, but there's a huge overlap. So
it baffles me. I think we'll maybe talk about some of the weird reactions from other people at the end as well, to bring that in. But without further ado, let's actually talk about what we thought of the movie, and the spoiler-free zone still, just sort of general sort of thoughts and feelings. And being the host, I'll go last because that's just kind of good manners and etiquette. You know what I meant to say. Matt.
He can't even say what he's trying to say.
Technically, Connor's a guest, so he should go first, but nah. Yeah. Matt,
so,
just in a couple of sentences, just sum up your general feelings. Like, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you
so
confused?
I just want to retract my... saw Man of Steel when Man of Steel came out, and I felt like, it's fine. And then upon rewatch, it was not fine. So I came in very negative towards a lot of these. And a lot of the press around Batman vs. Superman, I went in not going to like this. Turned out not liking it. Justice League, though, I was like, I'm probably not even going to see this opening weekend. And Pete's like, yes, you are. We have podcasting to do.
Yeah, we're covering it, so you're seeing it opening weekend.
Yeah. Okay, I'll see it opening weekend. And here's the thing. I went in with zero expectations. Like, none. I stayed away from... Everyone saw it before me. I had coming off a vacation. Trying to stay away from it.
Which, by the way, is why this is a day later than it usually would be, just for the record. It's him being on vacation.
Matt got his priorities right.
Yeah. I wasn't going to ruin my happiest place on earth by seeing a Zack Snyder movie. All right? Not doing it. And it turns out, when you go in with zero expectations, it's hard to be upset with things. And I could say I liked this movie, which you tell me 9 months ago that you're going to like Justice League, I'm going to call you a phony and probably punch you in the nose. So...
Yeah, key point there is 9 months ago was before we knew Whedon had anything to do with it. So, the key point in the timeline there, for the record. Connor, how did you feel?
I'm very conflicted because I also went in with no expectations, but I like the characters. I think that's the key point here. I like the characters, which is a change from obviously all the previous movies.
Big change from Batman v Superman. Yes.
But I dislike the movie in general.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know quite how... so I definitely can't say I like it, but it's better.
Call me crazy. I think, who could have predicted that a movie that's half directed by Zack Snyder and a movie that's half directed by Joss Whedon was going to feel conflicted at the end? Especially for us, and even me, even more so specifically, but...
Is that your favourite and then your worst nightmare?
Yeah, it really is. So, okay, I'm kind of. I don't know if I'm quite as positive as Matt. I don't think I'm quite as negative as Connor. I think I fall right in between the two of you, which is to say, I agree that the characters are the best part of the movie, and I think a lot of that is because of Whedon. We'll talk later about what whose is whose in terms of the movie, because we did some reading about who did what stuff and how true it is. But to be honest, most of it kind of pans out just in terms of logic.
It sounds about what I'd expect. Yeah.
But yeah, so the character stuff, some of their moments together, the course correction to an extent of some characters. Definitely worked for me. I think in pure filmmaking levels, though, it's still kind of a cobbled together mess.
You said it earlier, it's a Frankenstein's monster. But
it is, yeah. And
the way I look at it, though, it's young Frankenstein's monster. Because it could still dance putting on the Ritz, but it's not going to be pretty about it.
Because, there's a lot of things I think you can easily... Like, the pacing's not very good, the plot is ridiculously simple, and Steppenwolf is like this just generically bland CG villain who...
Oh, man. He made me feel good about Malekith in Thor 2.
I don't know. I'd probably say Malekith was better than... I'd say
here's the thing.
Steppenwolf was better than Malekith. I'm putting it out
No
there.
way.
No, come on. At least with Steppenwolf, there was dialogue, and I can tell you something that he said. I don't think I could do that with Malekith. I don't think I'd tell you a single sentence Malekith uttered in that movie. If he uttered a sentence.
Steppenwolf is really, really bad, but I'd put him above Malekith. I'd probably put him above the Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man. If I'm picking
it's probably
other
on
villains.
par with about that.
Yeah, it's in that realm though. It's in that arena of combat. If you're fighting the worst villains ever. Better than Parallax is a giant shit cloud. So you know what? There's a lore bar. There's a lore bar.
Easy.
Credit where it's due, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I fell on it. Where I think ultimately coming out of it, I was feeling a lot more kind of good than I was expecting to. In that there was definitely moments where I was like, oh, I kind of like that moment. Oh, I kind of like that interaction.
I get that, because that's kind of how I feel going forward. It's like, okay, I like the characters now, which is something I couldn't say before. So I like what, in theory, I like going forward. Yeah,
so there's hope for the future. In terms of this stuff, and it kind of makes sense, because this is the thing, when all the speculation before this movie, and I remember doing this like a year ago, because obviously movies take such a long time to make, but we said, oh, Jeff Johns is taking over the movies, but Justice League is already shooting, how much of an effect can he have? Turns out they ended up gutting it and reshooting a lot of stuff, so maybe it had more of an effect than...
I want to know what favor they called in with Whedon to get Whedon over here.
They gave him Batgirl. They said, hey, what do you want to do? Batgirl, fine, great, then fix our movie.
I like to think there was a lot more than Batgirl. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I don't know.
This was a massive undertaking.
They've got something on him.
Not that they got something on him, but I want to know if, like, John's like, you know what I mean? He's like, hey, buddy, you worked wonders for Marvel with Avengers. You want to come over and play with the other team?
I think it is interesting, obviously, because Whedon did make a point saying he was kind of burnt out on franchises at that point.
Yeah.
So, and
that's why
he hasn't really been involved since.
I wonder, because they're having this stance going forward, that the movies are going to be... I mean, they're going to be in the same universe, but they're more standalone and director-focused. I wonder if that was the sell to him. Like, yeah, it's Batgirl, but it's your movie, it's your mostly standalone thing.
Don't worry about it connecting so much. Whereas his Avengers stuff was very much, this is part of the story.
Yeah.
It's part of a bigger tapestry. I'm just looking at it as, like Pete was saying, it's such an undertaking to come into a movie that's already mostly done and be like, well, we have to rebuild. It's like coming into a house that's halfway done and like, well, no, we got to redo the living room and the kitchen and the master bedroom, And like,
the bathroom's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such an undertaking than just making your own movie.
I like how the room they said was fine from the Snyder portion was the one where you shit. I want to point that out.
I chose it because it's a basic room. It has a basic function. You're not going to spend too much time there.
I do want to say, Zack Snyder though sometimes gets me where it's like, why don't you understand character? Like he does great things sometimes visually that I really enjoy. Like in Watchmen, he has that whole montage that sets up the world that is there. That's almost like a music video, and I wish there was a job that he could just be like montage guy. You know,
What, you mean music
And I would
videos? Yeah, you should do music videos. I agree.
I guess, you know, or like a Zack Snyder sports movie. I wonder what that looks like. I just keep him away from, you know, I guess more importantly, keep him away from characters I really enjoy.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
think.
moral of the
Away from-
story.
Like, if you give him a script and they go, you are not allowed to change this script.
Yeah.
You know, he has no influence over the script whatsoever. The characters are already developed. How much can he mess them up from there?
It would
Yeah.
still look like a Zack Snyder movie, though. And
Well,
for
yeah,
me,
and
that's
you
a-
hate that. I can tolerate that. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily
me
love
too.
it, but I don't hate it inherently.
I'll just say there's no moments in this one like that reeked of Snyder to me, like the death of the Waynes in Batman vs Superman. You know, There's
sure.
nothing
Well,
that-
that's
Process
because
was a bit of slow mo.
they toned it down,
Yeah.
though. There's scenes in the earlier trailers you can see that they actually changed how bright
Yeah.
they were. They actually brightened up some scenes, which I
Yeah.
think's, you know, amusing in and of itself. CG ranges from, I mean, some stuff's fine, but then there's some really terrible CG. There's a lot
there's
of
some
really,
PlayStation graphics in there, man.
Yeah, there's
Like,
some
A lot of terrible CG.
there's a lot of really murky stuff. Cyborg goes from being fine in some scenes to being just downright ridiculous in other scenes.
I disagree with that. I think the entire movie he looks like a floating head. That's all I can
Yeah.
say. There was no connect between.
I thought
body
it was
and
okay.
face
See
in
when
it.
he was wearing the hoodie and it was hiding most of it? I thought that
Yeah,
was
that's
okay.
It's
All right,
fine.
fine, but that's because you know he's not really a floating head at that point. He's
I
a,
do
he's a
like
person.
I do like the small touch there that you could see his glowing parts through the hoodie.
I like that,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
That was
fine.
pretty cool.
Do you know
It was
what,
I
anytime
would
it was
like-
actually cyborg. That
do you know,
was just
do you know
like,
what I think's
nah,
really funny? I think it's funny that Cyborg is the one that's nailed out the gate. Like, he is Cyborg. There's
Yeah.
like, he's completely, comes
Well,
from Mother Box
That's Jeff
technology.
Johns.
Dad wants to save him. Like, everything's fine with him because he's actually nailed.
He has the John's origin from New 52, basically.
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much.
like,
So
with the mother box and whatnot, and I still, this is a little tipping the hand. I still feel he fills that role that we complain about on the comics podcast about
telephone pole.
Cyborg's kind of just a facilitator.
Yeah.
You know.
That said, I liked him in the movie well enough. But before we go into
Ray
characters,
Fisher was good.
before we go into characters though, I do want to just sticking with the CG. There's one giant CG thing we have to talk about before we move on. We have to talk about the mustache.
I like how the mustache is bigger than Steppenwolf.
It is. It absolutely is.
And here's the thing, I'm going to disagree because it didn't bother me that much.
Oh man,
Yeah.
there wasn't now.
Granted, I didn't get to sit where I normally would sit because we got tickets last minute, so I was sitting at a wonky angle.
Maybe that helped, but honestly, Matt,
Yeah.
every single scene, like sometimes it was worse than others, but every single scene I could see it and the fact that, and this is a good thing because he's a better written because of this, but almost every single Superman line of dialogue was apparently rewritten by Whedon, which means it was all in the reshoots, which means almost every scene he's in is the
Yes,
CGI.
basically everything but action.
Yeah, is covered, and even some of that's new. Apparently, like apparently his entrance to the final fight and all that sort of stuff was all
fair.
different.
Thankfully,
Oh,
those
yes.
are typically wider shots. He's moving quicker. You
Yeah,
don't
sure.
really see the
Yeah.
mustache.
Yeah.
It's when it's a
Oh,
close up
yes.
and he's talking, and the bottom of the top lip is sort of moving kind of unnaturally above the
It's
teeth.
the
and
way
it's just-
sometimes you'll see the gum above his teeth, and it's the way the lip moves around.
And
It's like,
unfortunately,
that's just wrong.
almost the worst of it is in the opening scene of the movie.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That's why I noticed it the most, which is also the most Whedon scene. Like, I automatically knew that was him. It reminded me of those, last parts in Avengers.
Do you know what I,
You know,
Yeah, do you know what I loved about that opening scene actually? And this is where kind of the movie kind of grabbed me and said, you know what, you might like some of this. Is that now, admittedly, you have to, for at least for us, you have to kind of pretend that we didn't actually get Batman v Superman. We got something else before now. Because all this talk about how he was a beacon of hope and stuff, yeah, that wasn't in the last movie. I don't know where people remember that.
that wasn't
But
even in Man of Steel. Like, it wasn't even touched
it wasn't.
on. So,
Yeah, it absolutely wasn't. But at the same time, the opening of the movie, which again, it's the opening, so it's not a spoiler, but you open with this, it's like a kid recording on his phone talking to Superman. He happens to be at the side of a disaster or something. Superman's just saved the day. And he's talking to Superman about the symbol in his chest, and he's describing what it is, and he's telling this kid that it means hope and whatnot. And it does this like stark cut before it goes to like the sadness of like he's gone, and I'm like, I'm actually liking what this is trying to do here, what it's setting up.
Yeah, but we never saw him speak to a kid before.
No, we didn't.
No.
This is the
He
first time
always
we ever
just-
saw
He
it.
didn't,
That entire last movie, he would show up somewhere, save someone, and then fly off looking mournful.
And hover. Or he would hover above them.
Yeah, and everyone would reach up at him. It's like, oh,
And
we
they
can't
just-
speak to you.
And
You're
he'd look
better than us.
depressed as well. Like, remember that montage in Batman v Superman where he's like dragging the ship and stuff? And he
Yeah.
just looks like he wants to kill himself every single time he's doing anything. And it's not just so not Superman.
And props to Cavill for like showing up and wanting to play ball here, like because since Man of Steel, that's all I had really seen him in, and since then I've seen him in a couple other things, and he's an adept actor. I wouldn't say he's like groundbreaking by any means, but his Superman here is completely different than anything else.
That's because it's
it's-
written completely different. It's written as
Yeah.
Superman.
I think it's funny, we've always seen him in interviews and said he could be
Oh
Superman.
yeah, I've been on record since day one. If they actually let him play Superman, I think he'd be fantastic Superman.
And I think we got that here. You know,
Yeah,
like
not a ton of it because obviously
mustache,
less time of him,
mustache be
but
damned.
yeah.
And what would about the mustache? Like, we're doing a Return of Superman kind of story. We couldn't keep a beard. Like, you couldn't just CG a beard onto him or give him a...
Actually, no,
But
it's
it would
funny.
have been better to give him a fake beard than
Yeah.
CG this out.
Yeah, it absolutely would have been. I agree with that, and he could have just kept the beard for the movie. Whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
But it's funny you bring that up because apparently when this was all going on with Mission Impossible and Paramount are like, no, you're not shaving that mustache. Apparently Warner Brothers actually did tests. Like, they got effects guys to do tests of CGing on a mustache, and they were going to pay for to do it on their movie. To like, no, let us shave it and we'll put a mustache on it. Because apparently even with CG, it was much easier to put a mustache on a person than it was to remove it.
Well, that's because you're covering something up. You're not...
Exactly.
Here, when you're taking something away, it's you're showing, you're revealing
It just-
things.
Now, however,
How
but here's
much
the,
of this mustache is into his character in Mission Impossible
but here's
6?
but here's the thing. So they actually offered to pay for it. They said, "Here's a solution." And even beyond that, I'm like, just put a fake mustache on him. You can just get a proper one and just stick it on him, right? But no, Paramount said, "Nope, we're not doing it. We've got him booked out. You can't shave that mustache, or we'll sue your ass
I
into
can't
oblivion."
wait to see... do you know what? I haven't seen any Mission Impossible since like the second one, but
Oh,
I'm going.
see 4 and 5,
I
buddy.
know.
Oh yeah, Force fantastic. Yeah.
I'm going to see this next one just to see this mustache in all its glory. I need to.
I need to know why we paid for this stupid uncanny valley face half this movie.
Exactly.
What the price was.
One of my close friends is in love with Henry Cavill. Like, he is her phone lockback. You know, whatever background on her lock screen, right? And so, lockback. I'm tired, guys. I had a long weekend. Anyways, she came with us to see this, and you know, she'd kind of stuck up for Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman because of Cavill. I was like, yeah, but he's pretty and it's fine. And she left this one going, oh my god, I actually got to see Superman smile. He hasn't really smiled. Now he's smiling as Superman. It's my new favorite thing.
It's a shame the
I gotta go
smile
see
is,
this again.
Is complete with dodgy lip.
Do you know what would have been
Yeah.
better than the CGI lip? Literally, if you just went like this for the whole movie, just have the finger on your face. That'd have been better.
But yeah, and that's what I
Yeah,
pointed out. I
that's
go, even the weird CGI lip thing. She goes, yeah, it didn't bother me. He smiled. My Henry smiled. So I thought that was...
yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. It's a little bit ruined just by the stupid fake lip. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, it's nice to see him
Do you think if we'd seen him as Clark Kent with the glasses, we'd have gone, oh, we're distracted. Glasses. we're not seeing the lip.
Remember the great scene of him wearing like those disguise with the mustache, but it's his mustache and a fake nose.
Oh yes,
Oh dear.
I'm not Superman.
Alright, so we almost went into characters. We talked about Superman quite a bit. We talked a little bit about Cyborg. Batman is better than this movie. I still think he's one of the weaker parts. I feel like Ben Affleck is just tired and wants to be done. It
He's
feels
like, unless I can be Murder Man, I don't want it.
it feels so broken.
So-
It's funny, they don't really address the killing thing. They just don't have him kill
No.
anyone, and I'm fine with that. Like, just don't have him do it, and I can live
Even
with
the
it.
parademons, like the way that he handles the parademons, felt very much a reaction to his last outing.
So you know,
You know?
I'm cool with that. As for the others, Flash is a funny one because it's like not only
He's Spider-Man.
he's actually I was thinking more Bart Allen in terms of personality.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got. We'll talk about that in the spoilers
Yeah,
because they touch on that.
I just want to sort of
But-
quickly just the general feelings of them here and spoiler free.
He's
I feel
fine, but he's not really Barry.
He's not really
No.
Barry, but he was likable enough. I still think Ezra Miller's miscast, but he's miscast as regular Barry Allen. They're kind of doing something different with him.
Yeah,
But
if he was Bart Allen, I'd be like, cool, this
What's
is awesome.
What's weird about him though is that this is the one example where I'm like, I've got a version of this in TV right now, but I'm used to like so much. I'm used to Grant Gustin, and it's just kind of funny like comparing them as like the whole movie. I'm kind of thinking, oh, how would Grant do that scene?
Even
You know?
even my wife is like, oh, I like the kid on Flash much better. He feels like Flash. I was like, honey, I love you, but what do you know about Flash? Like, have you actually been listening as I ramble? That,
Yeah.
So yeah.
They wanted the comic relief guy. They turned Barry into that. I mean, honestly, out of the ones they've got, that's the one I'd pick. So I fair play in that sense. He had some nice moments, I guess. Some of the humor was a little bit forced, though. I thought they made him a bit too jokey at times.
He's a bit too socially awkward.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And obviously we've left Aquaman, who Matt's going to hate my opinion on this year, but
yeah, and you hate mine, so it washes out. But you know what? This is on point. I love Guy Gardner, and I feel this is the closest we're going to get to Guy Gardner on screen.
I don't have a problem that he's different from Aquaman in the comics, because honestly, Aquaman in the comics, like, I mean, you can kind of adapt him to a lot of different things.
Now, if we get Aquaman as he is, in the comics right now, in this, story where he's a vigilante and stuff, I can see that. But I think the traditional Aquaman that's clean cut and everything, I think that's a very hard sell, even in today's,
I think my problem with this Aquaman is, I mean, it didn't bother me that much. I don't have that many complaints. It's just, in general, I thought it was the weakest link of the team, because he's just a big dude bro, and that's the extent of his character.
I think,
of course, you'll love it.
I like him, but I think it's mostly I like him because Momoa pulls it off. I think he's the least interestingly written character.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
There's
okay
nothing
with
to
it.
that character, and I feel like Momoa's like, I'm just going to be myself, because
That's basically
I've seen him do these things at cons, and he's just acting like Aquaman. I was like, well, maybe that's just who he is.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, that kid asks about Superman, he's just like, he's dead, move on. And the kid almost starts crying, and then you see later on, as the kid's going through line to get an autograph, he's like, hey, bud, I'm going to let you know Superman's there, so go see the movie. And he's just like this jerk, but there's a tenderness to him, and I'm fine with that. Like, again,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I
that's my type.
think his solo movie might do wonders with him and flesh him out
I'm definitely expecting to see him drink a can of Monster in his solo movie.
If he does it, like from the time we meet him and he's up in Iceland, I was like, oh man, he's Aqua Viking. I never knew I wanted this
He is, yeah.
more in my life. Like,
oh, it was so specific to Matt. So
It
so
is.
much.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I liked him, but I will admit there's not much to him. He has one great scene, and that's about it. Other than that, he's kind of just there, and helping out the team. I don't feel he has zero arc whatsoever.
Yeah.
Unlike the others, and even Wonder Woman, I felt we kind of skipped over her, but she's
Because they already got Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's kind of obviously a continuation of what she is. She has some good moments here. She's kind of the heart and conscience of the team.
In a way, she's my favorite
should
part
be.
of the characters because she's so consistent, and it's okay. This is Wonder Woman. This is what I just got, and I've got more of it. I'm perfectly happy with this.
I want a Whedon version of Wonder Woman at some point, because from what I read, what he added to her, it was not only keeping in line with her movie, which was so out of line with her BVS version, but it's how he interprets the character, and I just...
Well, there's a couple of things he did in this. We'll talk about that in spoilers, but he kind of addressed things from BVS a couple of times. One was specifically with Wonder Woman, and I liked that. That was a nice little touch to bring that to the forefront. Alright, so before we get to spoilers, a few other things we can probably talk about. Maybe music a little bit. I know Connor's going to be
Yes, please.
ready to rage here. So
Floor is yours.
Danny Elfman did the score. Connor, take it away. Why do you hate the music?
Oh, where do I start? Do you know what? Let's start with the fact that it never shuts up. There's like 3 scenes in the entire movie that don't have music. It is a sensory overload. It is just a cacophony of noise. I really can't get over that. And it's so samey, generic Elfman for most of it that I can't really point to anything specific. It's just consistently there.
Yeah,
The only things I can really point to were moments of, I can tell you what the music was like at any given moment, were the moments where you use pre-existing pieces of music.
either from Man of Steel or original Superman theme or his own Batman theme of all things, which, yeah. I kind of agree. I don't hate it as much. It doesn't bother me as much, but I do kind of agree with the general sentiment of that.
When they're in the bank with Wonder Woman, it's kind of her introduction into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just hear it's a Danny Elfman score because I hear the bomb, 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 bomb.
That reminds me, they put the Wonder Woman theme that I hate. You know, that stupid guitar thing. They put that onto the orchestra. I can't remember what it was on. It was on some strings, I believe, during that opening, her introduction scene. Yeah, I still hate it.
A little bit of brass as well, I think.
Piece of music. Yeah.
It's better than the regular version.
It still makes me angry.
They only put it at once though. That's actually my biggest.
No, it isn't mercy that it was only once.
Yeah. It's actually my biggest. And obviously, I don't particularly like that theme, but I'm still going to complain about this because this is one of my biggest things about Elfman in a lot of ways. When they bring him in to do like a movie where he's not done the previous films, he'll bring the themes up once and then he'll just ignore them for the rest of the movie because it's like, no, it's all my music now. Like. He kind of has that thing. Like, even the Man of Steel music for Superman, you hear it once, and then it's never brought up again. It's like, he does a little bit of it, and then it's just gone. And it's like, dun, 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 you know, it's Elfman from that point.
But his Batman theme on heavy display...
Yeah, exactly, because it's his own thing. So it's I'll use it all the time. And I hate that he did that because I quite like that Batman theme for that Batman movie. You know, for that version of Batman. I think it fits that, Burton Gothic-esque style. I don't think it works in this movie. I don't think it works for this Batman. I think it's there just to distract me and go, hey, look, you like this piece of music, and it just takes me out of it.
I'll admit that I was like, yep, I like that piece of music. Okay.
That's it. It's there to get you on board, and I despise that sort of trickery.
Okay. All right. Minor characters we should bring up. So we'll only see some of these briefly. But J.K. Simmons seems like he'll be a fine Gordon when he gets more of a chance to play him.
I want more of him.
Yeah.
Seems fine.
Like what I saw.
We get one and a bit scene of Mira in Atlantis. Seems fine.
On point.
No talking, so we don't really get to hear what she sounds like. But
I mean, she has like 3 words maybe.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. No, there's a little bit of dialogue. You're right.
It sounds like there's going to be a lot to explore in the Aquaman movie based on what that short exchange is. I don't want to say it here because we're still not in spoilers.
Yeah. The one thing about that. The Atlantis stuff, because obviously that was the kind of exciting thing about seeing some of these. Cause it's the first time we saw Central City in the movies. It's the first time we saw Atlantis. Yeah. The one thing about Atlantis that kind of threw me, and I wonder if they'll change this in Aquaman, we'll actually get it, but they don't talk underwater in this Atlantis, at least what we see in this movie anyway.
Yeah, I think if they do, there's going to be some form of telepathy, or they'll have to do what they did.
Subtitles, you think?
Yeah. I mean, something like that, or just do what they do here, and they go into, because sound travels in water, but not like it does in air,
Yeah.
So it'd be super hard to do, I guess.
But
you never think about that in comics.
But Matt, what they do here is, like, only Mira can do that. Like, not everyone in Atlantis can do that.
I know.
So
they're going to stop to have...
you say that.
Well, not everyone, though. You know what I mean, though.
No. I mean, again, when we get into the main section, I've got something on that point, which is just weird to me.
All right, okay. So you got that... Cyborg's dad's fine. Alfred was the one good character from BVS. He's still pretty good, so you can't fault that.
Yeah, it was already working. Don't change it.
Lois is fine. I think she's a little bit shortchanged in a weird way, though. I feel like a couple of her scenes are a little bit forced in the sense that they have this kind of narrative device where she's not really writing, and then at the end of the movie, and this isn't a spoiler, I don't think, but at the end of the movie, she's like writing an article at the end, and like we hear her like saying what the article is, and it felt really shoehorned in because she didn't do that at the start. It just kind of felt like, oh, here's something to do with Lois at the end, kind of thing. So I thought there was a weird thing there. It felt a bit funny. I will say it's clear that a lot of stuff was cut out. You do feel chunks of things. I'll save it for spoilers, but there's one big thing that I feel is like there's just cut to ribbons.
Yeah,
in
and
the second
I think
half.
when you talk about that, I think that's where I really feel 2 hours was a mistake. I think a part of me when I heard that 2 hour runtime, whenever that was a month or two ago, part of me was excited because it meant, oh yay, I have to sit through less. That's good. But part of me
Exactly
is
what
like,
I said.
but then there's another part of me going, hey, there's a lot you've got to juggle in this movie. Is 2 hours enough to do it justice? No pun intended. But it turns out it's not. You can't get through all that stuff in 2 hours without just missing chunks of story beats.
Yeah, no, there's definitely stuff missing, and it's kind of a shame. But I mean, do you know, just before we get to spoilers, I do want to like. I've been fairly positive so far, and I do want to like bring in one big kind of negative feeling I had after I saw it, even though like I was kind of like, okay, I'm actually kind of happy with that for the most part. Like I had reasons to be happy about it. I do think it's a little bit sad, and especially when I started thinking about it afterwards, that first Justice League movie, first live action Justice League movie, big budget, all this stuff, and I'm pleased that it was not terrible. I'm pleased that it got over the finish line, and I kind of compared it to Avengers because it's the obvious thing to compare it to, and I'm not a Marvel guy, but when Avengers came out, it felt like this triumph, this like celebration of like they finally like, they built a shared movie universe, and this was the big payoff to it, and it felt like a huge deal. It felt special, and by comparison, with all the troubles, not only in this movie but just all the DC movies since Man of Steel onwards, it really feels like we've just limped past the finish line. We got there. We actually crossed the finish line.
Yeah, we got there without Batman killing anyone.
Yeah,
in this movie.
But it's kind of sad that it's like, oh, we made it, and we're not completely balls it up, wipe the brow kind of thing. Like it's a little bit sad that it's sort of with all these, like consolations. It's like, oh, okay, we have to forgive that. We have to forgive that. We have to forgive that.
This we should be going. Oh yeah, this is amazing. We're finally here. This should be making so much money because it's the Justice League. Everyone knows the Justice League. But here we are going, oh, okay. It wasn't terrible. It was better than the last couple.
Yeah, you don't put out a good product. And, that's the one thing I've seen Snyder fans always say is how much money it made, but they always fudge the numbers. I think that so many people went to go see it just out of pure curiosity. So, this one, they're kind of, oh, it's that guy again?
Well, I was going to save this conversation. I was going to save this conversation for the end, but you've dove ahead into it first. So no, I think the movie didn't crack 100 million in its opening weekend in the US, and I don't think it's because of this movie. I think this is the thing. People always think that when something does well or does bad, it's because of what it is, and that's not always true. When you're talking about a franchise and you're talking about fatigue and you're talking about people learning lessons from things, it's actually the next thing that suffers. And this one is the most directly related to Batman v Superman. And let's not forget Suicide Squad was also terrible. I feel like Wonder Woman did well because word of mouth was like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
Wonder Woman did better than this.
Yeah,
it did. So did Batman v Superman. So did Suicide Squad. Yeah. This is the weakest opening weekend for any of these movies.
Wonder Woman deserved it. Was my point. Wonder Woman deserved to be good.
Oh, sure.
It's crazy that Wonder Woman did better than Justice League.
That is crazy. Yeah. It's crazy that Thor 3 destroyed it. And, like, if you'd told me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the first ever Justice League movie is going to get beat at its opening weekend by the third Thor movie, I'd have been like, go away. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Are you mad?
What have you factored in Snyder directing, though?
But this is the thing. Like,
but even that, like, on its own, should still have.
Yeah, but here's the thing: he already screwed up. Enough people looked at it and said, "I'm not doing this again." And that's and this is the thing. As much as I did kind of enjoy the movie and I have a lot of positive things to say, I don't actually feel bad about this because they kind of earned this. Warner Brothers.
I don't think it deserved any more.
Warner Brothers earned it. I mean, I think this movie deserves more than Batman v Superman. It deserves more than Suicide Squad.
Right, but those got way too much. Was the problem there? This pretty movie deserves what it got.
But I don't feel bad because they did this to themselves. They only have themselves to blame. They created this situation. So I can't, as much as I am more positive about this one, I can't I can't say, go, oh,
No.
this is a shame that it's not making more money. Like, no,
You know,
they did this.
You reap what you sow. That's
Yeah.
and that's it. I know so many people that when I came out saying that I actually didn't hate it, they're going, oh, I think I'm gonna go see it now. Like so many people were just like, yeah, pass. I'll go watch Thor again. And in fact, I had friends that went and saw Thor over seeing Justice League, this weekend. So, and as much as I want to say it's a shame, it's like, well, hopefully this is the wake up call.
I have to be honest. I only went
so.
to see it because of it's a DC movie. I'm gonna go see it because I have to, and there was the curiosity of going, am I gonna hate this? And I had to know. But if I wasn't like that, I'd have looked at this and gone, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Joe, it's funny though. I think like Thor's obviously a more coherent movie because it's not like this shambles. But in a weird way, I am way more passionate talking about this than I was Thor. Matt was here for me talking about Thor. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, it's another Marvel movie. It's fine, but whatever.
Yeah, but this is our corner. This is DC.
Yeah, I care about these characters.
As much as I love Thor and that region of the Marvel, I don't spend X amount of time talking about Thor to people like I do Superman and the Flash and
I think what it comes to, it's not about, is this better or worse, and that's why I'm going to talk more about it. It's just this is more interesting to talk about.
That is more interesting.
The whole story of what's happened just makes it fascinating.
It's funny that Marvel, they've gotten their thing down to such a refined art form that it has that kind of assembling thing where it's like you're at movie 17 and like there's not much more to talk about. It's kind of the same old thing. Whereas here it's like, you know what? Until they get it right, like DC's actually more interesting to discuss because they keep finding new ways to like be wacky and mess things up.
It's not saying that this is a better movie. It's saying I'm more interested in talking about it.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely Marvel's been more consistent, and take that however which way you want. There's a baseline for Marvel movies, and with DC, they've been all over the damn place since Nolan took over Batman.
With Wonder Woman being good, and then this having signs of hope for the rest of the characters, it feels like. No, we feel like we're the underdog now. We feel like we're climbing the mountain, and there's stuff they can climb. Whereas with Marvel, it feels like, we've already hit the peak, and we're kind of just on the nice little summit.
I mean, and to go with the underdog, we're climbing up. After the last couple of movies, BVS and Suicide Squad, you wanted to just take the dog outside and shoot it in the head.
Yeah, he did. Oh yeah, I think after BVS, and then again after Suicide Squad, I was like, just reboot this whole thing, get rid of it all. I don't want any of it.
Yeah,
especially after Suicide Squad, which shouldn't have been, this marquee movie that was out kind of before Justice League, and then, I was just like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we trying to make edgy movies? Just adapt, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the edgy thing is bullshit. I don't like. People think, see the people who like, the DC movies are better because they're darker and they're edgy and not childish like Marvel. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what? Don't make edgy movies. Make good movies.
If you relate to the Superman in Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, I don't kind of want to know you as a human being because you might be a sociopath.
Honestly, Matt, I wouldn't even say they're the same Superman. I don't think Superman in Batman v Superman's the same Superman from Man of Steel.
Oh, it's much worse.
He's much worse.
But that's what I'm saying. If you look at him, and go, yeah, I see myself in that character. Then I kind of like,
this is the thing.
No.
Man of Steel, I don't hate. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. I think it's a bad Superman movie, but I think it's a perfectly fine movie.
I hated it until I saw Batman vs Superman. I was like, oh man, it could have been way worse. So it had that rebound, like almost like a boomerang. I was like, oh, okay, well, that was actually not that bad. There are parts that I can go through Man of Steel and go, kind of want to watch that scene again.
No, I mean, no.
Versus Batman vs Superman, I never want to see again.
There is good scenes, like the first fight in Man of Steel is a great scene.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I like the entire Krypton opening. I really do. I think it's a lot of fun.
All the fighting in the Smallville, liked all that. That was good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that stuff.
Yeah.
There's good stuff there.
But, it let me see, though, Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad. And then, I did the same going into Wonder Woman, where I'm just like, okay, these trailers aren't selling me. And then, I dragged my feet, and I was like, oh, wow, this was a really good movie. And the problem of it, though, is that their movies have been so maligned that I forget that I saw Wonder Woman and enjoyed it sometimes. Just because I get so wrapped up in the stuff I didn't like. And that's a shame. Like, I still don't own Wonder Woman on Blu-ray. Like, that needs to be remedied, you know. But I rushed out and bought Spider-Man when it came out because I enjoyed that so much. So, and it's a brand that I can recognize.
So, yeah, I think we'll go to spoilers then. We somehow went 45 minutes before we got to spoilers. So, without further ado,
buckle in, folks.
full spoilers
Here
for
we go.
Justice League. So, like I say, you had the camera before the time of Superman at start, set up the mood, fine. Montage, everyone's sad, Superman's dead, blah, 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 blah. Opening scene with Batman after this. First of all, I'm fairly certain this is a Whedon scene. And secondly, I actually really enjoyed this Batman scene. And this was a weird thing, because obviously I was really unhappy with Batman in BVS. Really, really unhappy. And this scene really felt like the start of like a DC like comic book event. Like, this is the opening scene with Batman investigating what's going on. And and we've got the guy from Mindhunter, who I was thrilled to see.
Okay.
Not Holden, the other one. It's been a while since we watched it now.
We finished this like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I know,
I've
but the names were out of my head. But anyway, it was nice to see him. He's like the low-life criminal that he's chasing after. And, there's some cool... Batman he flips over like a water tower at one point, and there's a cool little sort of comic book-looking imagery. But he's using the criminal as bait. He's like, oh, this sends fear.
Yeah.
And he's like, what senses fear? And then Parademon shows up and Batman tackles it.
Yeah.
It's good setup stuff. But this is where I'm talking about how I like what it's doing in the movie, but you have to kind of pretend that Batman v Superman is different for it to work. Because, after like he takes care of the Parademon, and he's like talking to Alfred, and he's like, hey, so they're coming, the army, and there's evil, and blah, blah, blah. And the criminal behind him all tied up. And it's kind of amusing. He's kind of like, shuffling along, all tied up. And he's like, it's because he's not here anymore, isn't it? The Superman, it's because he's dead. And I'm like, this is a great moment if I bought that he was that important before in this world.
That's it.
But,
and it got me, and I was like, okay, this is the world we're going with. It's almost kind of like a reboot of itself, where it's just like, all right, cool.
Reboot, yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Obviously we needed that. We needed some sort of soft reboot. So from there, I mean, then the plot gets really simple because it's like, all right, I'm going to so these parademons and whoever's ruling them's coming. I'm going to go collect these various metahumans that we've found out about through the emails from the last movie. Stupid emails.
Do you know what, that's also every time he sees the flash, the little video footage that we saw in that movie, I go, ugh, can you just stop showing me that, please? Stop reminding me.
Hated the emails. This is where things really changed at some point, because when he goes to get Aquaman, he's got a beard, and then there's a scene after that whole chunk where he's shaving the beard. He's on the plane and he's shaving his beard back off, and I went, wait a minute, how did he grow that beard? Like, how long did it take him to get to, wherever? Where was it?
Iceland.
How long did it take him to get to Iceland?
Yeah.
Where he had that beard by the time he got there. Madness.
Yeah. No. Do you know what, I had some questions on the plot here, because this is where I started getting... I don't want to say confused, but I started questioning things.
Pretty early to be confused, but go on.
Yeah. So the whole thing is, we got the image of the 3 boxes, and you see it in Iceland, and you see Aquaman on it. That they're like, it's like a cave painting almost, like on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's clearly Momoa's Aquaman, but this painting's supposed to be like 5,000 years old or whatever it was.
Was it?
They tell it. That's what I thought it was.
I don't think it is.
No.
Because it's just in the wall, so it's just like it's the idea is like one of the kids is drawn this based on what they know about him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll allow that.
So
yeah,
because he knows what that box is. Like, he's familiar with it enough. So I'm sure he's told stories about it, and because as we find out later in the movie, this is things that have been on Earth for thousands of years now.
Yeah, we might as well talk about that. So the setup for Steppenwolf basically is that there's 3 mother boxes on Earth. One's in Themyscira, one's in Atlantis, and one's buried somewhere in the the world of man, which is just Earth basically. And thousands of years ago, lots of them. I mean, thousands of years ago, when Atlantis was still part of the world.
They say 5,000 years ago.
Was it 5,000? I couldn't remember.
Which is still a lot when you think about it.
Yeah. That's more BC than post C.
Yeah.
AD.
Thank you. I'd forgotten what the term was for AD there. Right. So this was in Themyscira and Atlantis were still part of the world, and Steppenwolf came with his army, and everyone banded together to fight him, including and I popped for this. I'm not going to lie. A Green Lantern.
Oh,
Yes,
me
please.
too.
Now it's funny because typically I don't like the look of things in the movie. That's like one of my big complaints because I don't like the designs of a lot of things. But I actually really like the look of the Green Lantern. I like the look of his power, his ring like beams and stuff.
I liked when it zips off of him.
Yeah, when he dies.
It looks like it does in the comics.
Yeah.
Like, it takes these weird angles and it goes off, and oh man, I popped.
Because it basically because the lantern dies and it comes off to look for a new Green Lantern, but it does that thing where it pauses just long enough that it's almost like a frame of a comic book where it stops.
Yeah,
for
and
you
then
to see
it always zooms off in like a diagonal.
Yeah.
Like that way.
Yeah.
It's always the same direction.
And I was like, oh man, like I actually really liked how because you see him hit like a parody with a big hammer made from his ring, and I liked how it looked because obviously the Green Lantern movie everything was like so garish and like really bright. I liked how this was more subtle. It was more.
It's one of the few times that the dullness that sometimes Snyder brings kind of worked.
Yeah.
It made it feel like it had some weight to it instead of being a cartoon.
Like
Exactly.
this entire premise, that is a comic book I'd want to read. Like, if they wanted to do something like an adaptation, I would read the story of this war just because I liked the pieces that it was playing with.
Yeah. This is one of those points I saw a lot of people complaining before the movie. They'd seen the pictures of the Amazonians, and they were like the costumes. They're like, oh, they're much skimpier than in Wonder Woman. This is incredibly sexist. We already saw they didn't stop bullets. Why would they get even less armor? And then it turned out all this stuff that when it was these outfits was 5,000 years in the past.
Yeah, because all the outfits, and because I was actually looking for it because I'd seen that controversy, and I was looking for it in the modern day Themyscira scenes, and it looked more covered up.
It looks like they've used the exact same costumes as Wonder Woman for the modern day.
I'm just gonna say though, I'm gonna give those people the benefit of the doubt, thinking that given what we've been, given by Snyder.
Yeah, we've had in terms of like sexism and that kind of thing recently, we've had a bit of a rough time with it.
I just thought it was amusing that we were leaping to the conclusions, and then in the movie it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw that and I kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, of course Snyder does
that.
But
To be fair though, Connor,
sleep.
Then you asked the question, why are they skimpier 5,000 years ago?
Well,
less material. That's your
there was more of them back then.
Well, I mean, anytime you see a caveman, he's wearing less, right?
Yeah, well, sure. Were the Atlanteans wearing less in the flashback?
Atlantis.
I don't know.
Atlantis was rich.
All I know is this reeks of John's because that was King Atlan from the comics. Like he had the same beard, crown.
Look at Matt with the knowledge. He's hitting us with a deep dive.
That is King Atlan from the Jeff Johns Aquaman run, and I was just like, oh man, no one addresses him. No one says anything.
Yeah, you just know it's him.
It's him.
Yeah, it's the Atlantean King. And,
which, by the way, I think I recognised. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I'm sure I recognised the species of the Green Lantern.
Yeah, he kind of looked like Salak, but not really.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought it was like a Kilowog, just from his size, but it wasn't. It wasn't one of his.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was. He had more like fur and stuff as well. He had more of a sort of thing.
Yeah. That was really cool, and I mean,
cool.
I thought the Amazonian action in that scene was pretty good. Like this is again the stuff that sometimes Snyder does for me. Are we
talking about
battles?
Are we talking about the war, or are we talking about present day Themyscira where they're fighting?
No, the war in the past. I wasn't jumping from that.
Can I just point out that first Justice League movie, and this is all we get of a Green Lantern.
I know, but you were getting one.
I know. I just wanted to.
I feel like
this review would not be complete without at least.
I've been saying for like 2 years that no Green Lantern and no Martian Manhunter is like a huge FU to fans. Well, like, come on now.
Yeah.
There's a scene at the end of them standing and there's 6, and I'm just like, there needs to be 7.
There's always 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always 7.
Starts with 7. Always starts with 7. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so Steppenwolf's plan is to collect the three boxes and combine them, and that'll let him basically turn Earth into a new apocalypse. Which I thought was a little bit funny because the plot of Man of Steel was that Zod wanted to terraform Earth into a new Krypton, and now the plot of Justice League is that Steppenwolf wants to terraform Earth into a new apocalypse. Is
it because that I get Zod's, but with the new gods and whatnot with Steppenwolf, why Earth? There's all these other planets, and he chose
and
this
then,
one.
Do you know what else got me? Really? Why now?
Oh, he says why now.
No, but I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
But he says why now.
Yeah,
There's
but
no one
the
there to
an-
stop
the-
him.
But what about no? They go, oh, there was no one. The Kryptonian's dead. You know, it's fine. We're good now. But what about he was Superman for 2 years. He was on Earth for what 30, 35. What about the rest of the 5,000 years before that?
I'm
I
also
don't know.
thinking though that
He was doing something. He had a hobby.
So we see that the man portion, the armies of man, because it breaks down into three groups
Yeah.
who get the three boxes. We see them just bury it, which I just kind of laugh at. Like, wait, this alien dimension hopper is going to be thwarted by 6 feet of dirt. Like, but clearly he was, because I took it as his plan was when they had used whatever components to build Cyborg, that's what kind of drew him.
Yeah, I can.
To it.
Yeah, I can maybe see that. Because he
You know what I
mentions
mean?
he mentions when he sort of wakes up for the first time, he appears in Themyscira. He mentions that Mother called to me now, or something
Right.
like that. So it's not like he'd been like called to there at that specific time.
That makes more sense to me than the other bollocks that it gives in the movie.
That's just how I took that. And I also took that as there's a red room from the comics that Star Labs has, that there's all these devices that they've found, because they don't ever say where they found the mother box.
Is it wrong that Matt said
had
Red
it.
Room and I just went straight to Twin Peaks in my head?
Yeah, no, no, I mean they mentioned that they dug it up in around World War One in England. I think they said.
Did they say England?
I think they did.
Yeah, I think it was all knights
Okay.
and stuff, so it makes some sense.
So I would have really liked if they'd kind of known about this a bit more in advance. They could have set like done a little hint in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just in the museum at one point or something. You see.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned that's when they dug it up, so I would have just something in that movie that would kind of hint.
Also,
at...
seeing all of those, the armies of men, they're looking like barbarian Viking types. I was like, man, I would love to see Viking Prince show up at some point. There's another obscure DC character, like, his ship or whatever, just a reference.
You've got Aqua Viking, isn't that enough?
I don't need to see Viking Prince. A reference would be cool.
Well, we talked about that battle scene a lot more than I thought we were going to. Surprise, surprise, we were going to go in depth on this one. So, right, so that's his plan. So he's doing that, and meanwhile, Bruce is going around collecting. And he goes to see Barry in Central City. They mention that he's got a father in prison, killed his mother. Barry's always said it wasn't, and it was kind of this is where it was kind of like making me feel weird because of the show. I'm like, I've seen all this done in the show. Not
Again,
that long ago.
John's fingerprints.
I know.
That's a John's thing that he brought to the character.
But
And that's the scene that I was kind of like, well, it's not Bart. They can't say, because,
yeah,
I mean, they could have said his name's Bartholomew, whatever, Allen, and, and just not Barry, but, cool. Whatevs.
but it worked well enough. We've seen a lot of the scene where he goes to see him in the trailer. To be fair, like I think that was like one of the big things, even from the early trailer.
Did we?
Yeah, the whole thing where
Yeah.
he shows the batarang and he sees it and he catches it.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
that
no, I
stuff.
thought you were talking about the dad.
Oh, not the dad.
Yeah.
No, I was talking about Bruce. So,
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the dad. And I was the
Which, by the
Batman
way,
scene.
I'm sure for months people were telling me that by the end of the movie, Bruce was going to give him a fancier Flash suit.
Yeah, they were. That was definitely in some leaked things that people
Yeah.
were talking about
Never
for the
happened.
last year.
Yeah, it never happened.
People
Who
were
is
like,
he,
"No,
Iron
this
Man?"
is just." People just kept going, "Oh, this is just the prototype. Flash has just cobbled it together," and then we hear, "No, this is this really high tech suit that Barry's made."
I do. You know what? I do like the emblem on it.
Yeah.
I like the weight of the emblem. I just don't like the shape of the rest of it.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
strike me as a
disconnected.
runner's. Yeah.
Well, speaking
No.
of that, can someone teach Ezra Miller how to run, please?
So,
I don't think
I
it's
was
his fault.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's his fault. I think because the way they shoot is... Because obviously it's not real slow motion because they can't make him go that fast, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think the way they do the effect, like, I feel like he has to kind of pretend he's doing it to a point, and I think it's coming from, like, a weird... Like... I think he actually pretend he's in slow motion to a point.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it just looks wrong.
I was talking to a friend at work today, and he had mentioned, like, the Flash, as they set him up in the movie, doesn't really run as much as he glides because of the friction and whatnot. The fact that he's running like that, it's more akin to ice skating. And I was like, okay, I can buy that. Now, I don't know if he read that somewhere, if that's just his own head canon at play, but it made sense in the moment to me.
I can work with it.
I would allow it if he didn't lose his footing so damn often.
Yeah, that's true too.
So you get Barry saying he basically agrees to join straight away. Aquaman tells him to piss off. Wonder Woman, of course, is already kind of on board. We get a nice introduction to her at this bank where these criminals are holding them at gun. It's just a classic superhero kind of crisis.
The reasons that they're just trying to blow up 4 city blocks, and Wonder Woman's going to stop them. Yeah,
because it looks like a robbery, but it's actually more of a terrorist attack kind of thing, and she comes in and deals with it. It's fine. It's a fine little action scene to introduce her. I almost feel like that was something that was added in later once they realised Wonder Woman was such a success. It's like, give her a better entrance. Give her something big and bombastic.
So, from what I read, that was the entrance she had that Snyder had shot, right? But Whedon came in and re-edited it and added some, close-ups and character moments for her. Like the way that she saves the people.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was cut down, apparently. Because apparently it was longer and it had more of the Snyder slow-mo.
I don't want to nitpick this so much, but I feel like Wonder Woman moved really fast to block all those bullets, right? That felt almost like Flashlight, the way she sort of darted across the entire crowd.
She did go pretty quickly, yeah.
Actually, I'm not complaining about this, but she really liked the whole clanking the gauntlets together in this one.
Yeah.
She did that 5 times in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked good, so I can't really complain that much, but there was a lot of it.
My weirdest nitpick of this scene, which this is not something that is to be taken seriously, that actually bothered me. It was just when you see something, a thought crosses your mind.
Go on.
So when she throws the explosive up and she saves it, she throws it up into the sky and it explodes. I look at it and go, they should have used a bigger explosion there. I don't believe that would take out 4 city blocks.
Or that, and she only threw it up so high, it's still going to have a concussion wave, and you're still going to do some damage.
Yeah. Those are forgivable physics. I'm not really bothered about it. It was just something that I thought. Yeah.
Maybe you could argue that the explosion would get to the gas in the building, and that was supposed to multiply it.
I guess.
I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Did you recognize who the main villain was, Connor?
No.
Yeah.
No?
So the guy in the bank, that was Roose Bolton from Game of Thrones.
Was it?
It was. Well, according to Wiki, they pulled that up.
I was expecting some obscure DC knowledge there of it's actually this character from such and such, and it's some actor from Game of Thrones. I'm disappointed.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't catch him in it, but I'll notice next time.
I looked. Yeah, so I looked it up because I was like, who is that guy? I know that guy. That face is familiar. And so
I was doing that a lot in this movie. So I just didn't bother looking any of them up because there was too many.
Yeah, there was a lot. Alright, so Steppenwolf has his big entrance into Themyscira. He steals the thing. There was some good fun stuff. It was basically the Amazons were playing catch with the mother box.
Yeah. Keep away. I loved it.
Yeah, keep away. Yeah. I thought this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they were throwing the box to each other and grabbing it on horses. A lot of them were getting killed. It really felt like a big dire effort. So
I like how using the lassos to swing it about and stuff. Pretty inventive.
There was fun stuff there. The Atlantis theft of the box, though, by comparison, was just kind of
Oh, cheers, mate.
Punch some people, grab it, boom, tube out of there.
I think I can maybe defend this in setting up the. We've seen Themyscira. We know it's a pretty well functioning society, and I wonder if this is telling us no, Atlantis is kind of shit right now.
It's in a bad place. Yeah, I can maybe see that.
That would make sense with Orm. Aquaman's brother sitting on the throne, and just the way that Mera talks about the Queen.
Explore in his movie of Aquaman.
Well, apparently,
good place.
Yeah, apparently Juan helped shoot some of these scenes too because Aquaman was in production, so they relied on him, and they cut. Willem Dafoe apparently showed up as Volko, but they cut that from the final cut.
Well,
yeah.
on the upside, it might mean, because sometimes with these things, like, they're not consistent, but now I feel like if Wan stepped in to reshoot some of these Atlantis scenes, then Atlantis should feel consistent with his movie.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I didn't get enough of Atlantis to really get a sense of it. But
Nah, I just mean the way it looks underwater and just like, how they handled it in terms
the
of that.
design and stuff like that,
So that's what convinces Aquaman to kind of show up and help. Flash has already agreed. Cyborg, of course, we're introduced to him. His dad gets kidnapped. And Cyborg's got all these things where he's like, "Oh, I've got this new power. I can like jetpack now with my feet. Like I didn't do that yesterday."
He's evolving essentially.
Yeah.
Woke up with that. That was fun. I love that line.
Yeah. So his dad gets kidnapped, which is what makes him to show up in Gotham to like join the team. So we end up with 5 of them together, with Gordon, and they go off, and we get a sort of our midway action scene, which is them getting into these tunnels, under the Gotham Harbour. It's these big tunnels, and they're going to try and save the hostages. And there was some fun action here. That there was, Flash running around the big cylinder to help Wonder Woman get her sword back as she's like falling through the air.
I like that, and he pinks it. Just
do you know what I was really hoping for afterwards? Was when she's got the sword, she cut it all up, and we're back in real time, and he'd be there holding his finger because it cut through him.
Yeah,
that's what I was hoping for.
And not surprisingly, Whedon added the whole thing about Flash being nervous and Bruce saying "just save one." I like that. I thought that was a really good little mentor moment for.
I like that a whole lot. Because he's like, I don't, I push people out the way. Like I don't stop crime.
Fight. I don't do anything. I just, And I like that idea. He's kind of done all this just for something to do because he doesn't have any friends. And he's never actually really kind of had to get involved to this extent.
What I liked about it was just a really good bit of advice. Just save one person, and I was like, well, what about the rest of them? But of course, that's kind of the thing. Is once he saves one, it sort of goes. Because Bruce says, "Oh, you know what to do after that," and he saves one. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll just do that again." He just keeps doing it. And he saves everyone. Just simple little idea. Aquaman, shows up in the middle of this to stop the water that's coming towards them. And...
This is where I was questioning you. You said, "Oh, only Mira can do that stuff that she does."
Oh, sure.
Well, Aquaman's kind of controlling the water here, and this really threw me. I was like, Aquaman isn't supposed to be able to control the water.
Yeah, I feel like it was different because Mira actually made shapes and a bubble and stuff. Yeah,
this was less powerful. He was holding it back, but I was really confused. I was like, that's not a thing.
I mean, I guess it is in these movies.
It is in this. I mean, I guess it is. Oh, Matt, you're going.
Yeah, Matt's going.
I think it's fine. I can accept it. Like if that's what we're going with in this version, then fine. It threw me because I was like, that's new.
It was a really simple, basic version of it, though. So if that's as far as to go with it with him, and maybe he can only do it with his trident. Maybe it's his trident that's doing it.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
Because because it holds it out in front and it's all that thing.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could live with that. Right. So decent little action scene, some good moments in there. Obviously, you're hampered a little bit by CGI Steppenwolf and CGI parademons at times. You got Batman's big crab walker thing that he's got down there.
Yeah.
Really specific vehicle that he designed.
Yeah.
Really specific.
Yeah. That was weird.
But I want to talk about after this. So they end up getting back to the base. They've got the mother box, and they're standing around. And which, by the way, I just want to say just how crap the Batcave stuff in this. Like just from a set design point of view, it's like a warehouse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brightly lit. It just I don't know. It wasn't a Batcave looking thing, but they're standing around. The banter's good. I want to point out what I really liked about this scene. This was one of the 2 moments I was thinking of when I said that, because I believe this was all rewritten by Whedon, and this was one of the 2 moments where they addressed something from Batman v Superman that kind of had to be fixed in a weird way, where Diana brings up to because Bruce is like, "Oh, we've got a mother box. Can we use that to bring Superman back from the dead?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're just going to try and resurrect him." I thought we were going to get there in some other avenue, but no, they're just going to talk about doing it and try and do it.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Oh, we can't do that. It's dangerous for so many reasons." Flash brings up Pet Sematary. Good thing to bring up in this particular scene, and Bruce and she's like, "Oh, you have to let these things go, Bruce. You can't do this." And Bruce hits back with, "Oh, did you let Steve go?" And Diana just steps in and just punches him in the chest, and Bruce looks like he's about to die. He's like, I'm winded. That was really satisfying because he was being a dick. But it did address
But he was kind of right.
Yeah, he kind of goes, "Oh, you disappeared for like 100 years. I never even heard of you until I got this, file with your photo."
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, that's a good thing to bring up. I'm glad you're questioning that. That is good.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
congrats to that. So yeah, I was really not expecting them to actually just try and resurrect Superman themselves, like, because especially since Batman v Superman ended with that shot of the dirt on the coffin, as if it was going to happen anyway.
Well,
Yeah, I felt something changed somewhere because I think that was always the intention, and that would have been the way I'd expected it to go.
Instead, we literally get a scene of Flash and Cyborg digging up his corpse. They're in a cemetery and they're digging
which was
up.
a great levity moment because Flash is like, I could do this faster, but I feel like I need to do it slow out of respect.
Yeah. I like the bonding there because they kind of like, because Cyborg's like, he keeps trying to high five Cyborg and Cyborg's not having it.
It's fist bump.
Or fist bump, yeah. And then eventually he kind of like points out that they're both kind of weirdos and outsiders, and that's like
the accidents.
The accidents, that was the word. And Cyborg's like, yeah, and he kind of smiles and says, yeah, you're right, we are the accidents. And it was like the first time Cyborg smiles in the whole movie, but it makes sense, given that he's mopey because he thinks he's like Frankenstein's monster the whole time.
Yeah,
but,
which again, on point for the character.
Oh, it is, yeah,
early in his
absolutely.
career.
Yeah.
So
nailed Cyborg.
They really did. Yeah, I mean, other than the ropey CG, the character was great.
Oh yeah, but the character's more important. I mean, I'll take ropey CG with good character as opposed to ropey character with great CG any day of the week. So take your pick. So they've got the plan. They've got Superman's body. They take it to the Kryptonian ship, which is still there. We've seen it earlier on in the movie as well. Star Labs has been doing tests and whatnot with it, and so they go in, and it's the same pool that Doomsday get made in. So, and quite rightly, several characters are like, "Hey, maybe this is a bad idea." We saw what happened last time. Someone tried this.
sometimes Dad's better.
And also, someone brings up, what if he comes back as a zombie, or what if he comes back evil, or whatever? And Batman's like, I've got a contingency. Now, I actually liked his contingency. His contingency ended up in Lois, which is actually really smart. Yeah. But part of me was thinking, oh god, what's he built to fight Superman this time?
Well, because he keeps saying big guns. I got big guns.
I'm going to bring out the big guns.
Which is actually the point. I think we've glossed over one of the scenes that were before this, where he's talking to Alfred and he's convincing Alfred of the plan on his own. And this was one of the scenes that Joss added, at least seemingly so from what we've read. And it makes a lot of sense because it was a really good character moment where he turns around and says, "Oh, like he was important, and I was responsible for what happened to him." And it's the way he calls him Clark that really hit me.
Yeah.
It felt like comic book Batman saying, "No, I need to get Clark back." It felt like that Bruce Clark relationship almost. And again, you have to pretend that the last movie.
If they spoke more than once.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. You have to kind of pretend that there was more of a history than that last movie actually gave us. But
so because it's Snyder involved here, when he said I have the big guns, I fully expected it to be Mark Kent because of Martha.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm so glad that it wasn't. But I leaned over to my wife and went, Martha, and yeah.
That does remind me of something that I feel like was that was going to do something with and then didn't, which was Martha in general. The whole farm plot of, okay, we've lost the farm. She kind of goes to Metropolis, and she has a couple of little bonding moments with Lois, but we don't really get much. And then by the end of the movie, they've just got the farm back, and I'm like, it really feels like there was something cut.
That's one of the things.
There was.
It just feels like the stuff cut. I've got more of them later that are even. That one doesn't bother me that much because it's like whatever.
I think it was because it was introduced so early with the losing the farm that I expected a payoff and there never was.
Oh, there was a funny line in that scene where they're watching TV and this woman's on TV saying the alien stole her husband and she's just swearing like a trooper and it's bleeped out. It was
pretty great.
So they put Superman in the pool. And like, okay, the mother box has to hit it, and there has to be like a jolt of this energy. And Flash like, oh, I can do that with my speed force. I can do that. And I did think it was funny because I actually thought to myself, well, even if this doesn't work, like if you hit it at the wrong time, can't you just do it again and just do it again until you get it right at the right timing? But they treat it really dramatically, where he's like running in slow motion, and it's like it was very Back to the Future. It was reminding me of the DeLorean trying to hit the cable at the right time.
I was just gonna say that they need to get 1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah, exactly. And sure enough, like he ends up flying out, and like, okay, I wonder what he's like. And they all get lined up outside, and he's standing there looking at the old memorial, and we get honestly, I was kind of dreading this scene before, as it was sort of getting there. I was thinking, oh, this might be terrible. Evil Superman. And I don't know if there is some problems with this and like how quickly he stops being evil Superman later, but the actual moments that come here, I think there's a moment where he's got like 3 of them. I don't know how that's possible, but he has 3 of them by the neck at the same time.
Do you know, like you say, oh, you were dreading the idea of evil Superman. I was too, but it was very Lazarus Pit, so I was okay with it in concept.
You beat me to it. I go, guys, you realize he created a Lazarus Pit.
Pretty much. But he's fighting them so well. He's got like Wonder Woman by the neck. He's got, I think, Aquaman by the neck. He's got Batman kind of in front of him. And then we get probably one of the genuinely best moments of the movie where Flash is like, right, this is my time to get into this fight. And he starts going into super speed and he's like going round him. And there's this great moment where Superman's head just turns at the same rate that he's running and looks at him.
Starts with his eyes.
Yeah. It's a proper Terminator look he gives him as well. And Barry's just what the F face. And he's like, oh crap, he can move the same speed as me. Oh no, this is bad.
And then trips himself up again.
And then trips himself up. He trips a lot in this movie. Yeah.
He really does.
Bit much.
Because he needs to learn how to run.
He's the Flash, not Fleetfoot. Right?
So, just before Lois shows up and kind of like deflates the situation and Superman flies off with her back to the farm, we have something that when it started, I was like, oh no. But then when the payoff came, I was like, no, Whedon, you smart son of a bitch, you just made fun of the worst thing from the trailer, from that Batman v Superman movie. So, Superman walks over to Batman, picks him up, not even by the neck, by the jaw. He like sort of has him like that, by the jaw. And he's like, do you bleed? And I'm like,
because I remember you.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, what are you doing here?
Cringed. I'm not gonna lie, I cringed at that moment.
I cringed, yeah. And then Lois comes in and she like calms him down and they fly off to the farm for him to go and rediscover himself. And then it just cuts to Batman on the floor holding his back going, yeah, something's definitely bleeding. And that made it. I was like, no, you redeemed that entire moment. It works.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's great.
I also love the Wonder Woman Superman fight section of that. He hits her with a headbutt that I was like, oh man, that was brutal looking. Like, I thought, it's very rare that I look at the slow-mo from Snyder and go, okay, that was used properly.
I was actually thinking of you during this scene, Matt, because I was thinking, on the one hand, he might be pissed that we'll get evil Superman for a little bit, and the second hand, or the other hand, I think that you might love the fact that he's dominating every single one of these people at the same time.
Yeah, but I mean, he's basically just the Hulk. You know what I mean? Like,
I have to admit, I kind of found I like the the beats we're talking about. Like, I thought the Flash moment was funny. I thought the moment with Bruce at the end was funny, but the actual action I found kind of boring. I wasn't watching it. I didn't think it was very interesting to watch for the most part.
I thought it was fine.
I thought it was fine.
I don't disagree with that too.
I mean, he wasn't snapping necks and cashing checks, so that's good.
I'm good with that. I'm not saying it was that bad. I just found it kind of uninteresting.
Again, I really enjoyed the Flash moment and then the Wonder Woman. Like, there's something about that fight, and she does the knock together the bracelets again, and it doesn't work. And then she headbutts him.
He grabs it. He grabs her arm before they can clank together. That's the thing. He jumps in time. So So I'll stick with the Superman farm plot just now because this is where they cut out a chunk of this because I thought they go to the farm and he's kind of still confused but he's trying to remember and he kind of remembers her and like okay they're setting up a subplot here. We're going to for the rest of the movie we're going to keep coming back to the farm and seeing him kind of almost like. I was thinking like the first Turtles movie, the classic, where they're at the farmhouse and they're kind of like getting stronger again. I was thinking he's going to be like discovering himself at the farm for like a subplot. Instead, the very next time we come back to the farm, he's completely fixed and smiling, saying I better go help save the world. And I'm like, okay, I guess that all happened off screen. I was like, where was that story? It was like all in between these two scenes. Yeah, it was weird.
And that's I think we're all still annoyed they bothered killing Superman in the first place. But if you're gonna do it and it's done, at least have something out of it. This is just undone. This is undone at the quickest pace possible. Where instead it's like, it's done. Make the best of it and actually, play the story. Do something interesting. And this here, him finding himself and learning, be human, reminding him we can get the things that we never got in Man of Steel of his parents teaching him Why,
Yeah.
reminding
Well,
him what they taught him to be good,
so-
things we never saw.
So when they go and exhume his body, he was buried with a picture of Pa Kent.
Mm.
And I was like, no, don't remind me of this guy who's the worst Pa Kent that I've had the fortune of seeing.
Do you know what really annoys me about that is that he was the worst Pa Kent for half of his scenes. The other half of his scenes, he was fantastic, and that was all the scenes they put in the trailer. So, United Man of Steel, I thought, this is going to be great. This is going to be the best young Clark stuff ever because this trailer scene, that bit where he's like, can't I just keep pretending to be your son, and he like hugs him and says, "You are my son."
You are my son.
Yeah, that's a great Pa Kent moment. Great Pa Kent.
But then it gets all lost in the part that you maybe should let those kids die to keep your secret. And you can handle his conflict.
I don't know if I hate that more than the BVS thing with his mum, where she says,
you save them. They need you, or don't. They don't deserve you.
You don't owe this world anything. Like, shut up. You're not Ma Kent.
No, that's the complete opposite. It's not that they owe him anything. It's that he's going to save them anyway.
Yeah, that's what you taught him to do.
Exactly.
The fact that he was buried with a Pa Kent that was just like, nah, let me die before you're giving up your secret, which you didn't have to do. He moves super fast, like it's been established. So I just thought that was hollow, and I felt that was just Snyder wanting to put that in because deep down I think Snyder thinks he is in his brain it's justified, and I just don't. As a fan of the mythology of the character, it doesn't make sense to me,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big thing. Is just that whole him getting better was just happened between two scenes.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about Superman again when we get to the final fight because that's when he shows up with the rest of the team. So the team make their plans and they're like, okay, it's going to be here. We've got X amount of hours. There's a really good scene with, again, this is a Whedon scene. From what we know, is between Diana and Bruce where he takes off his suit. And he's just like beat to shit. He's bruised. His shoulders dislocated.
Because he's not wearing his armor throughout any of this. Like we saw him use. So when he faced Superman, he kind of knew he was going to take some lumps, and I like that. I like that he was kind of this is his penance.
Yeah,
it was very self-deprecating, wasn't it? It was like, I deserve this.
And I like that. I like that, and I like Diana talking. And they kind of apologize to each other here. So, I'm sorry about that, Steve Crack, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. And it was like. All of the good little character moments where it felt like they're having like some growth, or it feels like they're actually kind of hitting at some of their character beats.
I like that it feels there's an actual relationship between those two.
It really does. Oh. At one point, Alfred even cracks a joke about Bruce having the hots for her. And I was glad that it didn't actually do anything with it later on. Like I was worried that we're going to have like an actual sort of like, oh, does he
I'm okay with that in the future.
In the future, sure, but I was glad that not in this movie. It's like, okay, Alfred can crack his joke because he's going to crack, because it feels really Alfred to crack that joke.
Yeah.
But we're not going to spend the rest of the movie with him like going, oh, Diana, maybe after we've saved the world, do you want to?
The tension's not always there. It's there when it needs to be, and that's what you want.
Like, again, I really like this Alfred.
Alfred's good. And I think that's great, and I think it just says something that most of the character building scenes are all Whedon. It shows you where things weren't working before. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. So they make their plans. Flash is having to eat food and stuff, and they all decide to go. And it turns out the big final thing is going to be in Russia, which I don't have a problem with it being in Russia. I do have one problem with the fact that, yet again, much like Batman v Superman, you don't get a sense that anyone on the planet's really aware that this is going on or watching it.
No, but they go out of their way to explain that, though.
Yeah, I mean they say Steppenwolf's picked here because it's off the grid.
Oh no, sure, yeah, there's a reason for it. But what
kind of cop out that they did in BVS?
No, but what I'm saying, my problem with it isn't so much that they're in a middle of nowhere Russia. My problem is at the end of the movie when Lois is giving her speech about how now the world has hope again because the heroes are all together, united, or the Justice League, and I'm like, where did the public see it?
Nobody knows that they did it
together.
Yeah. Where did the public actually learn about them? Where did they see all this stuff? Like, they didn't see any of this.
Lois, clearly.
Apparently so.
Cyborg was recording the whole thing. He uploaded it to the internet.
Oh, sure.
Hey, YouTube, check this out.
Yeah.
So that'd be my complaint with that. But I don't mind it's in Russia. Obviously, on the way there, we get this really fun scene
before they go to leave, this really bothered me. They're like, oh, we'll never make it in time. And Cyborg's like, we will if I'm driving. I'm like, look, I know you integrate with technology and you can control it, but you can't break the limits of the technology. You
Yeah,
can't
you
just go,
can't
hey,
suddenly
this
move at
engine,
light
you're better
speed.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that.
I'll let it go because Mother Box.
No, I'm not having it.
Mystical Mother Box.
No, because he doesn't have a mother box in him. He was made from the mother box.
Yeah, and he's connected to it, so Mother Box.
I had more problems with the Batman Quinjet. I'm gonna be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that to me was Whedon going, "Hey, the Avengers had a jet." Yeah, man, it's the same design. Just it has a bat
pretty
on
similar,
it.
yeah.
Like I was just looking at it, and it was like somewhere I feel like Superman or Batman has seen Avengers. It was like, I want one of those.
What was funny, I actually so the comedy scene that takes place where they're all together and they're on the flight, and I actually was cringing a little bit because I thought when Aquaman was doing his style, he's like, oh, you're this and this is why you're naive and you're this, and he was sort of like almost insulting all of them going down the line, and he gets to Wonder Woman and he's like, oh, you're so damn hot and attractive, and I thought, oh, that's a bit. Why is he doing this? This is cringy.
Yeah.
It felt kind of awkward. It felt kind of sexist. But then when they revealed it's because he's sitting on the lasso of truth, and because he kept going, kept going. And he was like, yeah, and I do this because I've always felt kind of insecure about myself. And he starts like being really
outsider,
killing his guts out. And I'm like, this is weird.
And they're all kind of, and Bruce is kind of smirking because he's realizing what's happened. And then he sort of stands up and pulls out the lasso. He's sitting on it, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was kind of funny.
It's the same thing as, the do you bleed. In the moment, I was like, oh, I'm kind of cringing at this. And then when you get to the payoff afterwards and the reveal, it's like, okay, it was fine.
Yeah, it's not that he would actually say these things to her generally. It's just that he was...
He thinks them, but that's okay. Because he wasn't going to just say that.
He was being brutally
honest. He has
honest.
some sense of decorum. He's a dude, bro, but he has a sense of decorum.
Yeah.
Like,
which actually reminds me, I like that Wonder Woman's the one who goes to recruit Cyborg, and she tries to she's like, you're not a monster, you're like...
She appeals to the humanity in him.
She's like...
which I think is important to come from Wonder Woman, because it's like, she lost her humanity for 100 years, she was disconnected.
And she calls his cyborg body his gifts, which he, scoffs at the time. He's still obviously feeling very monstrous at this point, but I like that. So... They go to Russia, and we have a lot of CG going on, and throughout the movie we keep as soon as Steppenwolf goes to Russia, we have this little sort of intercepted,
intercut,
not intercut, interspersed. That's the word. There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
I got it first. Shut up, Connor. I'm smart.
Yeah. It was pretty much the same time for me, but there's a delay.
SMRT.
So. We see this kind of family here, which I actually really... I've seen some complaints online about this family little subplot, and you know what? No. I was on board with it, because...
No.
No, you... No, see, here's the thing. I needed some civilians that I kind of cared about,
right?
And all of this going down.
Okay, and here's my problem is, it's so blatant that's what's for this town where this is going on in Russia is completely deserted, except for this one family, and they make a point of telling us how it's empty. There's no one there, and I feel like if this was in a more populated place and you focused on one family and gave me a couple of little scenes with other families, just little moments, but you still focused on one, I would be 100% okay with that then. But here it feels like, we need someone to care about. We need some civilians, and it felt really cheap to me. Well,
you could tell that they were added in later.
Yeah.
They're all Whedon.
Yeah. Like, it feels really cheap. It feels really... again, it's the same problem as if you don't have them. It's the same problem we had in BVS, where they just went, look, they're in an abandoned place, so who cares?
Yeah.
But here, because they're the only ones...
It's a Band-Aid when you need stitches.
Cheap.
I'm not being as cynical as Connor. I appreciated what they added to the actual...
Yeah, as did I, but they did feel a little bit out of place.
And to be fair, it's not just them, because there's other people getting saved at the end, so we don't see the other people. But
but then this is
I feel like that was a joke.
If we saw maybe a couple of others, then this would be less of a problem, because it feels like they're the only people in this town. Like, it feels so isolated.
Well, that's the point. That's why he picked it, though. That's why Steppenwolf picked it. It's because it's mostly isolated and deserted.
It is, but it makes these people feel cheap, and it feels like, well, why what's going on here?
I don't know. I disagree.
About the joke until Pete just brought it back up, and now we know there's more people.
Yeah.
So until just now, I didn't really like it.
There is more people. We just don't see them. But for me, this worked. For me, it was like, no, okay, I got to this little family, and especially the little girl with the bug spray for the parademons, which I thought was an amusing little joke.
Yep.
I don't know, it worked for me. I mean, I get the complaint I mean, if they wanted to go a bit more, I guess is the thing though, I feel like Snyder didn't have any of this in here. I think perfect world, you would have a lot more civilians to save, but of course, if you're doing reshoots and you're just slotting in some things, you can't can't suddenly have
but like
tons
you
of
said,
people.
we see there's literally a building full of other people. Show me a couple of them. Just I don't need a lot. Just a scene or two. Just little moments with these, just to tell me that this place is populated by more than these 4 people.
That doesn't bother me. I'm leaving you in the other side of the line in this.
I felt it. What can I say?
What side are you on, Matt?
No, I'm fine with it. I could tell it was Whedon.
Okay, my side then. That's fine.
I can tell it's Whedon, but that doesn't excuse it.
Well, no, I just
think he does his pure gold.
No, but it's better than nothing, though.
But
like,
think
about
what was there before he added them. It was nothing.
Yeah.
It was Gotham Harbor all over again.
Yeah.
There was
I agree.
zero weight to it.
It's also a problem, and that is worse. But this stuck out, and it was drawing attention to it.
I just always look about this stuff. It could have been worse. That's how I went with Justice League. It
could have been. It could have been a lot worse.
I'm not giving it that excuse anymore.
We shall move on then from that debate, and we will discuss essentially the final fight, which is Batman is willing to commit suicide to win this fight. He kind of goes off in the Batmobile and he's leading the parademons away so the Justice League can go in and like take care of the main Steppenwolf with these cubes and whatnot. And he is basically he doesn't tell them this, but he's basically going on a suicide mission because he knows he can't win this. But instead, the rest of the league, they jump in and save him. Wonder Woman, Flash, they all jump in and like help take care of things. And this is where you get the shot of Wonder Woman smirking from the trailer, which was actually in the notes. The person who worked in the movie who did this big list that's online specifically said that shot of her smiling that was weird. A lot of the final fight, of course, is similar to the original because it's a bit of effects work and stuff.
Yeah,
but that moment of her smiling was weird.
Do you know what is one of these weird moments? So Batman's going on a suicide mission. They come and save him. I like that, but part of me kind of thinks maybe we should have let him die, just so that we can have that gives Affleck his out, and Batman goes out a hero.
Yeah, but then we don't have Batman.
See, you say that they'll find a way.
And you also say that as if like, just when this was decided to do it this way, it was a while ago, and it wasn't like right now where like we're having these discussions about Affleck leaving. So, anyway, so fighting happens. Steppenwolf is kind of like they all have like a one-on-one shot to beat him up a little bit. It kind of fails, and he's about to win. He's about to just annihilate, and then what's the line that Superman has like off camera? Something about justice.
He's a fan of truth, and he's a fan of justice, and then bam, punches Steppenwolf in the head.
And of course,
when
he says his line, you just hear the dun 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 dun, which was the one time I really thought it worked with the original theme.
It's distracted me.
The one time it worked, and he's there, and he's kind of joking around with the others. He's helping. It was nice to see him interact. But here's the thing. Here's the creme de la creme of this whole final fight with Superman. Basically, he's beating up Steppenwolf. It's going pretty well. He's winning. He's saving the day because he's stronger than the rest of them. And Batman's like, "We need to finish this now." And Superman goes, "No, wait. There's civilians in trouble. I have to go and help. Flash can't do it on his own." And he flies off to save the civilians. Just compare that to the city in Man of Steel when thousands of people were presumably dying under rubble and whatever else.
Yeah, no. And again, this is one of those where I love the moment. I think it's delivered a little bluntly. In the just kind of in the same way that I'm talking about how the family feels really blunt and just to prove a point. This kind of felt that way to me as well. It was like, hey, look, he cares now. Like our Superman, he does civilians. He does that same thing.
It reminded me of another Whedon film in Age of Ultron when they make the point to get the civilians off of Sokovia. So
yeah, but are you saying are you saying that's also a negative
response? What?
Are you saying that's also a negative though? That's the best part of that final thing in Ultron.
No. But I'm saying it's a direct response to Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. Like, You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's my problem with it. It feels like a hey, look, we're doing it right now instead of actually being a moment that I think should be that flows properly.
I don't actually have a problem with being blunt. I kind of like the idea that it feels blunt because Superman's like, no, I don't care what part of the fight we're at. I'm going to go save the people.
I get that. I think it was actually the delivery was a bit blunt. The way it flowed.
Yeah.
It kind of. I don't know.
So he's flying off. He's flying next to the Flash, who's also running to try and save people. He's saving the family in the truck, and Superman's like, okay, there's people over to the left, people over to the right. You go left, I'll go right. And Flash goes and speeds up, pushes the truck out of the harm's way, and then he's like, hey, I did it. And then he looks over, and the joke is Superman's like flying out an entire building over the side. It was a funny joke. It worked well. And there's your more people, like Connor was one.
I wanted to see more people, not just know they were there.
Such a negative Nancy.
I'm not. I'm holding it to a higher standard.
Yeah, so they go back. They beat Steppenwolf. Freeze breath. We got freeze breath in this movie.
Yeah.
Was not expecting that.
I ain't gonna lie. I fist pumped.
And then is it Wonder Woman who smashes Steppenwolf's magical axe? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, because he's talking about how his axe has tasted Amazonian blood, and she's just like, "Oh, okay, cool, I got you." And it was It was a teamwork. I liked it. Like everyone felt important into the fight. You know, it wasn't just the big guns.
I agree. Obviously, we didn't even mention Aquaman's like action scenes because they were all in the trailer. You know, when he's surfing on the parademon.
That's one of the really disappointing things is what he does. It's pretty cool. Looks good.
Yeah.
But it lost its impact because there was nothing that I hadn't seen.
It looks good. In theory, I think the effects let it down though. See the bit when he goes through the building and he comes out the bottom of the building? I think that looks really bad in terms of green screen.
Yeah. When I say looks good, I mean is in concept. You know, what it's doing looks good.
Yeah. That's fair. So that's basically it. Joe, I think it's lacking though. This is what I think the final fight as a whole is lacking though. Where was the like? And I don't want to just like say I want the exact thing from Avengers, but just to use the comparative thing to what I'm saying here. In Avengers, that moment after Hulk's out, right, on the street, and you have that circular shot going round them, and it's the team formed for the first time, all of them are combined, and they're here as a team, and there is one. Where was that moment in this, where it's like, no, we're the goddamn Justice League, and they're all together?
Yeah.
I mean,
there's really not one.
Was there even...
It's afterwards when they're all in the lineup, isn't it?
I think that's the only time in the movie, but they're all in this shot at the same time.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a bit iffy, but hey... So we have some teases. They're like, okay, we're going to build a round table in Wayne Manor. We're going to come back in here. 6 chairs, but room for more because, of course, we're going to have more members.
Yeah, you need at least 7. We all know that.
It's the Hall of Justice, and that was pretty cool.
Read a lot.
You kind of skipped over Steppenwolf and him feeling fear because they, the parademons are attracted to it, and he boom tubes away. Apparently, in the original cut, he gets decapitated, and that's why we see his helmet fall and roll the way it does. But
who decapitated him in the original cut?
I don't know.
I have to assume Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that made the most sense. She had a sword, after all.
Yeah, and she's the only one really willing to do decapitations, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so but we get this really cool moment that was set up in Whedon, in that Batman opener where he's bringing them out,
Set up and pay off, like a proper movie.
It worked well. I'm not used to that in these with Zack Snyder's name.
Yeah, this is the thing, and so we get a Hall of Justice. We get like a montage, like as Lois is talking about her article. The Age of Heroes is back, blah blah blah, and we see like them all in their own places and setting up for future things and whatnot, and it's all fine. It feels a little bit shoehorned in. Obviously, you get the moment with Superman in the street where he actually goes down the alley and rips his shirt open. I feel like
guys.
It was good. I feel like it cut away from a bit too quick. Maybe that was just me. In fact, same with the final moment. Actually, I felt like when Lois was finished her speech, it cut to the credits really quickly. I felt like it needed another just a beat of her sitting contemplating or something before it cut. But otherwise. Worked fairly well. Before we talk about the movie as a whole, I suppose the other scenes is post credits scene. This is the Whedon credit scene. A lot of fun. And it's funny because I saw the movie before Connor did, and I was like, oh, the mid-credits scene's really fun, you like it. It's something that's been done in the comics a few times. He actually guessed what it was. He just kind of
I
jumped
said,
to it.
was there is anything particular that I've read? And he said, oh, I don't know any specific issues. It's been done a few times. Immediately, I was like, tell me it's that.
Yeah. So it's Flash and Superman racing, and they're just standing there. Some jokes are thrown. And again, Superman feels like Superman. He's smiling. He's like, yeah. By the way, if I beat you, you're off the team. He's like, no, I'm kidding. But you do have to buy his all brunch because that was connected to a brunch joke because Barry Allen doesn't like brunch.
Which I approved of actually. I think it's the most I liked Barry.
Yeah, he doesn't like brunch. It's just lunch, you know.
Yeah, you queue for an hour to have lunch. Yeah, it's stupid. Stop.
It was just a fun, goofy scene, and the final moment of them both flying and running towards the camera. Nice, iconic little DC kind of image. Fun. The final post-credit scene, I actually like the scene in terms of what it's setting up. I like the concept behind it. I hate Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, and I was miserable seeing him again.
I did, and so it opens. They're in Arkham, and stuff's going wrong, and you hear like a laughing, and I was just like, oh, are we getting the Joker? Like, what's going on? And then it ends up being Lex's cell. They open it up, and he's bald, and they come around, but it's not Lex, so he's somehow gotten out. And then it cuts to this yacht and a speedboat pulling up to it, and you see a silhouette.
It's a silhouette, and you're like, that almost looks like Deathstroke. And then it cuts
There's only one person that silhouette can be.
And it cuts to the front of him, and it actually is Deathstroke. And it's a pretty good looking Deathstroke costume, to be fair.
It is.
I think I'd have liked this a lot more if Snyder hadn't ruined this a year ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
I fully agree. Although I didn't know it was him because nobody was yelling Shadow. So like
Shadow. But hey, Matt, fun little story from this last week's episode of Arrow. Deathstroke's back on the show. And Shadow's been long gone. She's not been around since season 2. But I said to Connor for his drinking game, if he says Shadow, you have to take 2 drinks because the chances of it happening are pretty slim. And at one point in the episode, he hallucinates and sees Shadow and goes, Shadow!
So, to be fair, best Deathstroke's ever been on that show. He had a legitimately good action sequence.
Oh yeah, that was last week's, yeah.
But this one, Joe Manganiello, right?
He's got the... He's got the grey goatee and the grey hair. He looks a bit more specific, like Deathstroke.
And the camera flips around, and it's flipping Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor as we would know him, in the suit, on the yacht.
This is the thing, like, I'm torn on this post-credit scene as a whole, because it starts, you have Lex in Arkham, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then the end, you see him on the suit, businessman Lex, I'm like, he looks like Lex.
He does,
but he still sounds like Jesse Eisenberg, and
I honestly think he can pull off businessman Lex. I really do.
And,
like, I hope you're right.
Percy standing behind him and another guard, like it felt like a comic book.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. But my opinion is still that he is the most miscast person in the DC universe.
Before this, you said that about Ezra Miller, so
I'd say the most. I always thought Eisenberg was more miscast.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because he wasn't. I feel he can be Lex Luthor. I don't feel like he was Lex Luthor in Batman vs Superman.
I think you give him a proper Lex script. Make him a slimy businessman. Yeah. I can see him pulling it off.
That said, I might hate Leto's Joker more. I don't know if he's miscast per se.
No.
But I dislike Jared Leto.
It's way worse because that made me want to throw things at the screen. And Eisenberg just made me roll my eyes. It didn't make me angry.
But the jar of piss didn't make you angry.
Yeah.
Also,
that made me a little angry.
Small little thing. I noticed the yacht was called the Icon. And I was
nice touch.
I
didn't notice that.
Oh, we're getting an icon. I mean, they spell with a C, not a K, but...
nice touch. So basically what they're setting up here is that Lex is like, all us here, we're forming a league. Maybe we should form one of our own. And I thought, he almost said, let's form a league of our own. Because, in a league of our own. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, so the Injustice League. So the idea that we're going to have Lex, presumably Deathstroke since he's in this post-credit scene. Yeah. I would hope Reverse Flash and maybe...
I could do Captain Cold.
It depends who we set up in other movies.
Black Manta.
Black Manta.
I'd go with Black Manta, I think. But
whatever. I'm just saying, like I said, it depends who they set up.
Yeah. It's one of these things where this is where I'm kind of regretful that they skipped ahead in the timeline a little bit with some of the characters, because I'm like, I kind of wish that I'd seen, like, let's say we have Reverse Flash in this team. I kind of wish we'd seen him actually just be Barry's villain. But then again, Barry's at the start of his career, so we
the
kind of have to.
nature of Reverse Flash, he can still be his villain and they have not meet yet. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, time travel.
Because the timey-wimey.
All right, so okay, well, we'll work through the movie, but there's a few more things to kind of discuss. Just in terms of where we're going from here, but also, like, I mean, I think we'd probably all agree that Whedon made this watchable, right?
Yes.
He salvaged the best he could.
To go back to what I said at the start, in my opinion, is I like the character stuff. I dislike the actual movie. All the character stuff was Whedon, and that's the stuff that's watchable to me. So, yeah,
I agree.
Definitely.
But I think I wasn't sure I was going to say this before I watched it, but I think I would watch this again.
Oh, me too.
I'd watch it again,
there's parts I
but
really
I still
like.
don't. I'd watch it again, but I still
yeah. Elements of it feel forced because they had to rush through things, they had to rewrite things. It does feel cobbled together, but like the DC fan in me was enjoying lots of parts of it.
Yep, me too.
So it's it's in this kind of weird place where, as a movie as a whole, I can't rate it that highly, but it gets dragged up a little bit because it's like, no, but like it was giving me some really cool, like, I'm marked out for that Green Lantern death and the flashbacks so much, so much. So it was hitting some notes for me, and so I think what we'll do is we'll rate the movie and then talk about some post things, and by post things I mean maybe Ben Affleck, where we're going with Flashpoint, just general DCEU stuff. So I'll go to Matt first for his rating out of 10.
Oh man, I was trying to get a baseline with you guys.
Oh no, I don't want you basing your score on what we do.
Son of a B. Oh man, so I guess because the fact, like, I'm so negative on it, that really messes with my scale. It really puts it on a curve. So, I guess it's a 6. But it's a man, because I can't justify giving it higher than a 6. I really can't.
Yeah, so, but it's a 6 you found a lot of attachment with, so that's
it's again, it's graded on a curve, so a 6 is pretty good.
Yeah, well, well, for the record, I don't know if you remember your original rating, but if you were to rate Batman v Superman right now,
can I do negatives?
No negatives, no. 0 is as low as you can go.
Yeah, it's a 0. This movie made me hate that movie so much more. Like it's not even.
That's fair.
Close.
Connor.
I'll start with the BVS because I actually rewatched that this week because my girlfriend.
You followed through?
Wait. My girlfriend had not seen it because I let her off the hook when that came out, and I went to see it on my own because I was like, I'm not dragging you into this. I'm not that evil, and. But then this came out and she's like, I really want to go see Justice League. It looks like it could be fun. And she was like, but I've got to see BVS first because you can't do that. So I was like, all right, fine, we'll put it on. Not in one go, of course. Couldn't get through that in one sitting. And I made sure, I was like, do I be nice and put the extended cut on? I thought, no, I had to suffer. She can suffer. This is her choice. So I put the awful cut on.
Why did you have to stay in the room? Couldn't you have like?
I was reading some comics,
okay.
but it was on, so I've kind of I've seen it again recently. It's fresh. Ugh. I give that a 2 out of 10. Realistically, because I think it's not just on a technical level, it succeeds in some things.
Yeah.
So 2 out of 10 for that. This. I give it a 5. I think it's a bad movie. I think it's below average, but I like the character stuff, so it kind of evens out.
No, that's relatively fair. I also give BVS 2 out of 10. It is not the worst movie ever made. I have seen worse.
I might hate it more than anything else.
I do hate it more than anything else, but I have to be at least somewhat objective to an extent with just technical qualities and stuff.
You guys give it a 2 out of 10. Have you seen the Ultimate Cut?
No.
I have. This might be shading mine because oh man.
You've had to see more of it than us.
Okay. So 2 out of 10, and it's funny because I gave Suicide Squad a 3 out of 10, and I actually think Suicide Squad is a piece of filmmaking is worse because that movie is an edited mess. Like, it's just an absolute shambles. But
it's not close to your heart.
But it's not so. Well, yeah, that's true. It's not as close to my heart, but it's just purely for the fact that it didn't mess up the characters as much as Batman v Superman did. Like, you know, I came out of that movie angry about Batman and Superman.
Well, it seems like they're getting rid of that. Like,
and Lex and stuff
out. Like,
yeah. So
tossing that out.
So this movie, like, it got the characters mostly pretty well done, pretty right.
Yep.
And at least likable, if not bang on to their characters in the comics. Can I say Barry's quite different, but he's still likable. You know, he's not like, oh no, they've got Barry's suddenly someone who like goes around snapping necks. Like, he's not doing that.
He's wrong, but he's not bad.
Yeah. So, and he interacted well with the others and stuff as well, of course. And there was some genuine DC kind of like fanboy moments where I was like, oh, Green Lantern, or I was like, oh, that was a fun reference to something, or oh, cool, like Superman's holding them all off, or Superman feeling like Superman at the end, which is a big thing, obviously, because he was so wrong in Batman v Superman.
Yep.
Great. But then, of course, grading against that, you have some really bad CG, you have the really unfortunate distracting mustache removal, you have... It feels kind of cobbled together, the pacing's too quick as a result, doesn't have some chance to breathe, the plot is super simple, and Steppenwolf's terrible. So it all kind of adds up to basically 6.
Oh, look at that.
0.5, maybe?
What?
Oh, it's so different.
I never think you'd go higher than me.
So different, Matt. So different than yours. It's... Do you know, I was so conflicted because I felt pretty good immediately coming out of it. And then when I was thinking about it later in the night, I was like, but... Like I said, like I was sort of thinking about the limping over the finish line kind of angle, and I was like...
The more I think about it, the more I actually think it's a bad movie. But and I'm trying not to let my enjoyment of the characters that I like and, you know, seeing them on screen just drag it up for the sake of that.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I think, though, I see a genuine effort by Whedon, and maybe Johns as well to an extent, because he obviously got his position after this movie was already in production. I feel like I see a genuine effort. And I think what it does more than anything else is it fills me with some hope that going forward, not only do we not have Snyder, because, I mean, and that, again, this has nothing to do with his personal tragedy. I was looking forward to him being done with these movies long before that, and it seemed like this was going to be his last one anyway, based on the performance of the previous films.
Yeah, and just who they'd hired for the next
Exactly. Yep. So, in a post-Snyder world, and a world that is more curated by Johns, and obviously Whedon is still involved, he's going to be doing Batgirl, I am fairly hopeful for the future. So...
I agree with that.
I think that's maybe the biggest success that the movie gave me more than anything.
It's maybe the best we could have hoped for.
Yeah, given the circumstances, given everything that got us to this point, yeah, I think so.
That's the thing. Like, me giving that a 5 sounds harsh.
It's a victory.
But compared to what I was at, like that's pretty good.
And the fact that, and again, I admit this is just biased because I love DC and Marvel's okay to me. And obviously there's some Marvel movies I love, but I am looking forward to watching this again more than Thor or probably Guardians 2. And I'm not saying it's better than those two, I'm not by a long shot, but I am kind of more interested just because...
I'll definitely watch this again. I don't know when. At worst, it'll be when there's a Justice League 2.
I'm just happy that 2017 had a year of without a superhero movie that I had to hate. That's great. I've liked everything that's come out this year.
I'm sure there was one. Let me think. I'm sure something came out.
I think you might be right because we've had Wonder Woman, Justice League from this side, and then we had
Logan,
Thor, Guardian, Spider-Man,
and Logan,
and Logan.
Kingsman 2. It's pretty fun.
Oh, for counting that, sure,
yeah. So like it's 2017 for, you know,
maybe not the highest of highs, barring Logan. But...
No, definitely not. But I'll take consistency. Like we talked about that at the beginning. I'll take consistency. Like that's all I need.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So let's talk about going forward then, because obviously Affleck's talking about wanting to probably leaving soon, and I'm kind of okay with it, to be honest. Like, just recast him, it's fine.
Yeah.
Don't explain it.
It's been off and on for a while, but now we've got, I think we've had Matt Reeves kind of openly kind of saying things.
Matt Reeves is openly said, "Oh, but I want Jake Gyllenhaal." And it's like
I want that too.
Like Affleck's already gone.
It kind of sounds like it. And
I wouldn't be surprised if he has already gone. They're already saying they're just kind of holding
Yeah.
off till Justice League's over and done with.
honestly,
So has Reeves? I'm going through his what he's worked on. Has he ever worked with Gyllenhaal before? I don't think he has.
I don't think so.
Not
So I
that I
wonder
know
why
of.
he wants him so bad.
Because he's
But-
a really good actor. He's like, I
Well,
want it.
that.
Here's my thing.
But
Don't explain it. Just recast them. Let's just go forward. I don't need some bullshit in universe thing. Unless they want to specifically set it post Flashpoint and use that as like a.
Yeah, I've heard some talks of the Batman. Are they still calling it that?
Yeah.
Will be the like it'll actually be a younger version.
that's cool.
I've heard talk of that's
I
how they'll
can see
recast
that.
it. This will be during that 20 years that he operated in Gotham before all this. It'll be part of that.
Yeah, they've been talking about Flashpoint. They're saying that the whole Dark Batman and then the Aquaman Wonder Woman war are going to play into it because they're saying Gal Gadot is going to be in it. They're going to have, I presume, Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Dark Batman because he played Thomas
I'm
Wayne.
okay with that. He's great.
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, that'd be an okay idea. I'm conflicted on that because I feel like I actually love the Batman stuff in Flashpoint, but at the same time I feel like the first ever Flash movie, which this really isn't at this point. At this point, Flashpoint's basically a Justice League movie.
It's
Yeah.
Justice League 2.5, and the same thing. It's the same thing that
1.5.
Marvel did with like.
Your
Sorry,
math's
1.5,
weird.
yeah. I know. It's because I was thinking of.
Oh, right.
I was getting to Civil War, which was
Yeah.
which was Avengers 2.5, and yeah.
Yeah, it's just fine. I just feel like I kind of want Flash to actually get his proper movie first, and maybe hopefully he will. Hopefully, because this is the other thing going forward is that this movie has disappointed. We mentioned this, of course, is that it made under 100 million, and I hope that Warner Brothers don't panic that much with this and accept that they kind of they reap what they sow.
I think they have to know that this was always going to happen. That this was going to build up. The general consensus of the public was against them. There wasn't much they could do about it at this point.
Yeah. So I hope what they do now is they stick to their guns, they let Jeff Johns do his thing, and let, good filmmakers make their good movies, and we can do something fun later.
Yeah.
Get Matthew Vaughn in to do that Superman movie, eh? How about
Yes, please.
I
'Cause it-
saw just before we started recording this actually, like
yeah.
Cavill is contracted to be Superman in one more movie as of right now.
At least one more.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the funny
and-
thing is I saw that as well, and everyone seems to be going, well, for the one last time I'd have him in this. I'm like, just because he's contracted for just one more doesn't mean he's going to not renew his
No,
contract
exactly.
afterwards.
I
Like,
think that's it means they've got one more in the bank.
yeah.
And with no Superman film announced and no Justice League as of right now announced, I'm wondering where we get it.
I do think he enjoys being Superman.
Definitely.
Especially,
He's always
you know-
really passionately about it.
Yeah, and I think if they give him like a proper Superman movie where he gets to be Superman properly the whole time, I think that will be enough to make him want to stick around.
Yeah.
I
too.
honestly do. So I hope for that. Obviously, next we got Aquaman, and
Yep.
then Shazam, and then Wonder Woman 2? Or was Wonder Woman 2 before Shazam?
Oh well, they moved it up, didn't they? That was part of the news.
Only a few weeks though. It wasn't like a huge
Okay.
amount.
Okay, it wasn't.
Because it was December, now it's November 2019.
Okay.
So I think Shazam is first. I think Shazam is like early 2019.
And Shazam is a different, not a different era, but it's a standalone from the Justice League
Yeah,
movies.
it's kind of murky actually if it's in continuity or not.
Yeah.
They keep kind of being
Yeah.
vague about it, and it's technically New Line, which is obviously part of Warner
Right.
Brothers, but it's not.
Yeah, it's different. And
So
Which if they did, that's fine, because forever it was Fawcett Comics, not DC. So
yeah.
you could even kind of play with that a little bit.
I'm kind of okay with it as separate because part of the argument of having him and Superman at the same time is always that it's kind of similar. They're big, bulky, traditional American
The big blue
superheroes.
Boy Scout and the big red cheese.
Yeah,
Those
so
are the-
it kind of makes sense. And if they want to go with more of a comedy route with Shazam, and it feels like they're going to
Which-
because they've got Zachary
it
Levi,
was Zachary Levi as Shazam. And yeah.
and I'm
most
okay
definitely.
with that. So we got that. We got Aquaman, and we got Wonder Woman 2
is
confirmed.
Aquaman next?
Aquaman's next.
Yes.
So Aquaman, and then Shazam, and then Wonder Woman 2, I believe. I don't have it in front of me, but I think that's correct. So,
Okay.
and that's the only thing that's confirmed. And obviously they're talking a lot about Flashpoint, so you'd probably guess that would be a next after that. But
Yeah.
that's as far as we can kind of properly guess. We know there's a lot of things in development. We know there's Batgirl's in development. We even have a Nightwing movie in development. We have Cyborg technically in development. There's a few things in development. Gotham City Sirens, I think, was one that was thrown around. Apparently, those two Joker movies that we talked about at one point.
Yeah, I think Gotham City Sirens seems to be happening from, because I think AI's talked about that quite publicly.
Yeah. So, no, and obviously varying degrees of excitement for some of these. I do hope that they plan Justice League 2 in a relatively recent or upcoming time frame.
I'm kind of torn with that. I'm like, yeah, I want another one where we can just get a proper Justice League movie from scratch, and I want that sooner rather than later.
I say relatively. I don't really mean right now, per se.
No, but alternatively, let's go through, give all these characters movies. Let's do this properly. Let's not just... Sure. Because we can't, let's be honest, we rushed into this movie.
We did, yeah.
Let's not rush into the second one. Let's take our time and make use of that second chance.
Yeah, I think what maybe you do is you do all the other movies, and every single one of them has a post-credit scene where Lex gets another villain. Like that'll almost be the running theme, where it's just Lex after every credits, like going to another person for the Injustice League.
I'm okay with that, and each one can be one of whoever's movie is related from their rogues gallery. Yeah,
that can work. That can work to some extent. So we're relatively hopeful. Obviously, it still feels like less of a game plan right now because they only have the next three planned. But
and we're still talking about how are things part of the universe or not? Like I know we're talking about Shazam, but people are even discussing that with things like the Batman at various points. We've got the Joker movie.
No, the flat. I mean, Joker not so much, but the Batman is the flat out confirmed. No, that's in universe.
Yeah. But there's been just the idea that people are even talking about that. I think says a lot about the state of what the plan is, where it's kind of it's still fluctuating. They're not entirely certain.
Yeah, luckily the movie is making a lot internationally, so it won't be like dire straits. It'll just be it'll be soft on what it should be, but hopefully that means that we can they'll want to strive to keep going and like improve and build it.
I really hope they look at the criticism, because the general consensus has been roughly where we're sitting. I think that it's not a good movie, but it's a step in the right direction.
That's right.
So I hope they'll look at that and go, right, now let's go fully into that direction, and maybe we can get more money.
Yeah, and stop doing it after the fact in post and re-editing and reshooting. And...
Yeah, just do it just from ground up. Just go.
Do it right the first time.
Let's do that.
But honestly, I'm going to be really cynical here, in a past tense kind of way, and say, honestly, I think a lot of the problems is that they hired someone called Zack Snyder to kickstart all this, and I feel like with him out of the picture, because this is the thing, like Batman v Superman came out, and it was like every problem that people have with Man of Steel was amplified tenfold, and it was like, no, this is his vision, and that's what people are not liking, and then he's still doing Justice League, and obviously it ended up being more murky than that. But
in some ways, I have some concerns about something like Aquaman, where that's already deep in production. That was already planned in that era. Wonder Woman escaped the horrors of Snyder.
Aquaman has going for it is, I believe, Johns was on board in his role before that started shooting and stuff.
And I was going to bring that up because I pulled it up, and I'm just reading the cast. And this is basically the first arc of the John's comic. I'm reading the characters that are involved. No, not the Trench. That
was the first arc.
Well, then I'm maybe not the first arc, but I'm saying the stuff that he's set into play, maybe during Brightest Day. Then, like the stuff with Black Manta and Orm and all of that.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because I didn't realize Black Manta was actually cast yet, and he is.
Yeah, I knew that.
Not cast, but like I didn't realize who it was. And just reading some of these other Mark, and
it's a proper Aquaman movie then.
Yeah, and that's what I'm feeling. We're feeling Johns' fingerprints on this.
We're gonna get side characters and not a Jimmy Olsen shot through the head.
Oh god, yeah, that's not reminding me of that. Well, the lucky thing is they never named him in that movie, even though he's supposed to be him, so they could easily just have Jimmy show up.
I mean, did they name him in the extended cut though?
Oh god damn it.
Also, I wanted to touch
not
on
canon.
This really.
Extended cut's not canon. I'm saying it now.
No. So I've seen numerous media, well not media, but like filmmaking, like news websites post this, that rabid Zack Snyder fans are vigorously tweeting at Warner Brothers to release a Zack Snyder cut, and there is nothing of Justice League, and there's nothing I want less
I think
than a Zack Snyder cut.
I don't think they can do it because I don't think enough of it was finished. I think a lot of it was finished, but not enough for a full cut.
So
Zack Snyder fans, and when I say Zack Snyder fans, what I really mean is the really avid defenders on Twitter and stuff.
Yes.
I saw a tweet just earlier today, saying why do people keep saying that they don't like Superman and Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and into Justice League? It's called character development. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No.
You pointed my eyes onto that, and I wanted to hit you.
Oh.
Because why would you want to drive me into that much rage?
That like, it's not character development.
There's none though. Like,
I mean, and that's a criticism with this movie as well, because the character development, like we said, for Superman isn't there. It just happens.
It happens
because they went, let's not bother with the character development. Let's just fix it.
And the upside, I mean, obviously, the positive point is that on the other side of that, it comes out being more what we want him to be. So we're being relatively more lenient with it. But
yeah. Do you think there's an extended cut? Not necessarily a Snyder version, but we know there's things that Whedon had that must have been cut as well.
Yeah,
possibly.
Even just like, I don't know if it was Whedon or Snyder who would have had the Superman, finding himself plot. I don't know who had that, whatever was made.
Well, the fact that it was
want a
meant to
cut
be
with that
two
in.
movies, I feel like Snyder had it paced like that because the beginning is where it's heavy Snyder is very plotting in that way.
Well,
and deliberate.
The whole thing with the two movies, in fact, this is why we have Steppenwolf as the villain. The whole point with part 1 and 2 was that Steppenwolf was part 1 and it set up Darkseid for part 2, but then when they cancelled part 2, we get left with just Steppenwolf because they'd already planned too much of it to change.
Yeah, I think we only Darkseid mentioned once, right?
Yeah, at one point it says for Darkseid, so he exists. We'll get to him eventually.
And that's fine, and he can be a threat.
Justice League 3. You do in Justice League for the second movie, and you do Darkseid for the third one.
Here's a small thing I want to watch with the subtitles. When Steppenwolf says, I want to turn this place into like my homeworld, an apocalypse. I want to see how they spell it in the subtitles.
Yeah. Also, I can't believe I didn't mention this. We got red skies at the end there.
We did, but it was not. Yeah. I mean, because I saw that in the trailer.
It wasn't Crisis Red Skies, but it's close enough, Connor.
No, because we were hopeful. And then what it turns out the red skies were CG dust to kind of cover things.
Oh.
My dogs disagree.
Yeah.
Clearly they like the red skies.
Dog's not a fan of the ginger opinions, apparently. Oh, dear.
That
just means my wife's home and I have to go, so we should wrap up.
Oh, is that? Well, luckily we're kind of in the.
We've been a while. We've been going a while, haven't we?
The closing stages now. I have hope, and that is not something I had after Batman v Superman in any way, shape, or form. I was so livid after that movie. I have never left the theater angrier than Batman v Superman.
Yep.
Me either. I remember coming home after the midnight showing and me and you, Pete, we were the ones available to talk about it. So we were so angry, we recorded a pre-review because we were like, we can't wait for the full review. We were like, we can't wait till Sunday. We need to do this Thursday night, Friday morning. We just need to rant half an hour.
On a Saturday morning, and then halfway through, I couldn't remember if I left my garage open, and I contemplated leaving to go check. So, yeah.
And then did Ashley lean forward and go, Kevin?
No, because she didn't go with me, because that's why I went so early. I'm going and getting this done with.
That was a quality Home Alone joke for anyone who didn't get that, by the way. Right?
You.
Just for the record.
Yeah.
Because I know Connor's sitting there not knowing what the reference was.
No, I got it. I'm not a big fan of that movie. It's fine.
He's the worst, I know.
I know.
So I guess that kind of wraps us up for Justice League. No doubt there'll be more movie stuff to talk about. We sometime touch on movie news and stuff on the Comics from the Multiverse podcast, which we do. We mostly talk about the DC comic books, but sometimes at the start, if there's big movie news to talk about, we'll do that there as well. So yeah, thank you very much for sticking around for this very lengthy and in-depth discussion. I guess it's not surprising that we always go long on DC movies because we really care, and we go really detail by detail. No doubt we still miss stuff though, so by all means let us know about other stuff in the comments, ask questions, and for fans of Zack Snyder, yes, give us your hate, it's fine. You can do that.
We do not apologise.
No.
Not at all. So that's the whole thing. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Get us on Twitter at @mild_fuzz, or for DC Comics stuff specifically, you can get us at DC Comics Podcast. You can do that there, and you can support the channel, support the show. Over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. There's a bunch of bonuses over there. You get to vote on certain things. Our patrons, the bastards that they are making me watch La La Land later this month. I am not happy about it. In fact, it's later this week, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
And also, if you want to guarantee us talking about, DC movie news when it happens, if you get us over to our first goal, we will have a movie news show where we will discuss those.
That is very true. We're very near that goal, actually. So you can go check out that. That's fun stuff. This, for the audio, there's an audio feed for all the movie shows called Mail Fuzz Movies. You can check that out if you want to. This will also be in the comics podcast feed. The Comics of the Multiverse feed will also get this as well. I've done that with Wonder Woman as well. It's just kind of a way of, because the comic book readers are likely going to want to hear this as well. So it just makes a lot of sense. But and if you are listening to this on the comic book podcast feed, maybe you want to check out some of the other movie reviews, because, it's usually just me and Matt. Occasionally it'll be me and Connor if it's something that Matt doesn't want to see or whatever.
Yeah.
But I moved hell and high water to move my schedule around to be here for the DC movie. I fought for it.
Yeah, he did. So,
Me too.
with that said, that brings it end to this fairly lengthy Justice League review / discussion /
thing.
Shambles. Word maybe I was looking for.
I was being kind.
But there you go. That is us. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. And I'll just, my final point of the entire thing will be, I am happy that I have been genuinely had a positive tone during this video, which I was not expecting a week ago. So, progress. See you next time, guys. Keep watching movies. Goodbye.